welcome to the Tuesday show. My name's Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen. Hello. This doesn't really do anything.
It worked.
Wait, is it still better right now? Is it still better?
You didn't actually change anything, right?
Dude, I put the volume up and then down, back to exactly where it was before.
Spot. I saw it, and I can confirm that it's actually absurd that worked. But, okay, anyway. Whatever, technology, you know?
Ah, God.
I don't know how to explain that, but there it is.
Dude, literally, you saw me just go up, down, exactly back to where it was.
I did see that.
And it worked. That's not my fault. I'm telling you, this is not my fault.
All right. And showtime. Welcome to the Tuesday show. My name's Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen. How's everybody going?
Going great. We're going to be talking about these topics. So we'll talk about the Guilty Gear 2020 stream that happened and the various informations that were presented there. We'll talk about tournament results. We were at one of them. We'll talk about the others as well. We'll talk about some 5-5 matchup topics, including chip kills. Best idea or worst idea? No in between at all. We'll talk about the viewer choice one that ended up winning. There was a close vote this week.
Oh, really?
And some good topics as well. So we'll talk about all that.
Nice.
And then there was other FGC news and esports news.
Esports news?
Some esports news.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
That I added to the run of show. We'll chat about that later. Anyway, let's begin by talking about Guilty Gear.
That's right.
Which we're just calling Guilty Gear 2020, right?
They don't have a real name for it yet.
It's just called Guilty Gear as far as we know. Anyway, there was a stream, and I watched a good chunk of it. We were at Canada Cup, but I did watch a good chunk of it while it was live.
Okay.
And I am no expert when it comes to Guilty Gear.
Right.
So for me, I was watching it, and I was basically like, that's Guilty Gear. That looks like Guilty Gear to me. And everybody else was like, I can't believe the monstrosity. So let's talk about what they said is happening, and then we'll talk about our thoughts about it.
Yeah, no problem. So we got a lot of information for the game. For now, we hadn't had anything, no information anywhere. And then, except for here's some characters and here's some clips. But then all of a sudden now, here's all the information. In fact, I was supposed to be on the Arc Revo show, but then I ended up going to Canada Cup. So I was supposed to be there with Kizzy and be able to play the game and stuff like that. But
what do you feel? Right call?
I mean, look, it was a financial decision I had to make, so I had to make it out. So
I hear you.
Unfortunately, that's the way it works. But obviously, they changed a lot of stuff. They changed a lot of systems. They changed a few things. And they did it all seemingly on the goal that Daisuke had, that he mentioned a long time ago, is that they want to redesign the game kind of from the ground up. Not base it off of any previous games. And then also try to make it so that, unlike, he wants to avoid the Tekken syndrome.
Okay.
Which is the legacy knowledge is so crucial, right? And, you know, Tekken and Guilty Gear are two of the games, I feel like, that have the most of that, right? As much as Guilty Gear can change with game systems and stuff like that, it's still largely Guilty Gear, right? Not counting Guilty Gear to Guilty Gear X, which completely was a different thing, right? Because Guilty Gear 1 was just a barely playable game, so...
Okay.
But outside of that, like, you know, for the most part, if you kind of knew how your character played, you could go into the next one and you could still play them pretty decently. You know? Like Johnny, they switched the direction of his Mistfinder, which was really weird after years and years of having it being quarter circle one way, and then they changed it to quarter circle the other way. I can't even remember which is which now because I'm in dyslexia. But now they're trying to do something very different. Okay. And they're trying to change a lot of stuff. They're trying to make it a little bit more approachable, I think, for beginners. They changed a lot of the basic systems for some characters. Jam, for some reason, she just kept changing a bunch. because they just kept trying to find different ways to make her card system work. But in any case, do you want me to go over the list, or do you want me to just talk about overall now?
Yeah, let's talk about what changed, yeah.
Okay.
Get into the details, buddy.
Shoutouts to toptier.gg, which is a site that Henry Choi is helping run, and it seems like a nice new player in the realm of things here. They kind of, summarize a lot of things. A lot of things are the same. Still air dashes, still double jumps. Same 5 buttons as before.
For sure.
Punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, and dust.
Right.
Probably in the same layout.
Right.
Still tension gauge. Still meter is awarded for like dashing forward and stuff like that. Faultless defense is still there. Except faultless defense will cause... it always has caused extra pushback. And also made it so that you avoided chip damage and stuff like that. Burst... There's still a burst. There's still a blue burst happening during block stun and hit stun. Gold burst still gives free meter, and all bursts are still throwable, so they're all still able to be. Your soul is able to still be stolen.
That's been like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's still the stylish mode for beginners as well. There's the risk gauge, so if you block a bunch, your risk gauge goes up. Guilty Gear's never had guard breaks.
Negative penalty, basically.
Yeah, but basically, if you keep blocking, the meter builds up, and when it builds up fully, then you take counter hits. Basically, everything just becomes counter hits. This did change in Exerd. So in the original Guilty Gear games, it was more of a tug of war.
Okay.
There was one bar that started in the middle. As you blocked, it kept going this way.
Okay.
But then as you went, it would go the other way. And this kind of like, as you hit them and did combos, it would like go towards your way, so their hit stun would shrink. So you could kind of see the hit stun deterioration on screen. They got rid of that, and they just made it so now both people can have their guard meter built up at the same time, as opposed to having it be a tug of war.
Gotcha.
But I think it's more like that right now. And then negative penalty. If you run away, you lose your meter.
Right.
That's all still there.
Okay.
However, what things are different? So, interestingly enough, like a lot of the newer fighting games, BB Tag and everything, and I think Dragon Ball had this, there's a shortcut for dash now. There's never been a shortcut for dash. And now you can actually map a dash button.
Right.
And that's going to make instant air dashing a lot easier.
For sure.
Right. I mean, to be honest, I never thought it was that hard to do. They were really limited. But now you can just do jump and dash button to make it even easier, right?
Yeah.
Throws. This is interesting.
This is a big one, yeah.
They moved the throws to the dust button.
Right.
Now, the reason why this is really significant, this is even taught in the game itself in Exerd, is that throw option selects were a huge part of the game, right? In fact, designed in such a way that towards heavy punch was, for every character, was a really slow start-up, wind-up kind of move. Everybody has a towards punch. So basically the option select was always to hit forward and heavy slash and another button at the same time, right?
Okay.
And then basically that button would take over. So you hit forward and, heavy slash and slash. So if they jump, you would whiff just slash instead of towards heavy slash. Because if you do that, you just basically got yourself killed, right? If you couldn't do it with punch because everybody had towards punch, which is generally a slower move. So most people try to do it with kick. Unless you had a towards kick, then you had to do it with slash, basically. And that was kind of designed. And you could avoid all of that by holding back and throwing. But the problem is if you hold back and hit 2 buttons, then you faultless block, so you don't throw at all. So there was a whole system built behind that.
Okay.
Now it's just all on the dust button.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to implement a priority system. I don't know if you hit forward, dust, and slash at the same time. If dust will come out or slash will come out, etc., etc.
So you could, if that does happen, you could theoretically avoid the throw whiff. You would just get slash instead.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, someone said it looks like they did, and I guess maybe dust always comes out now. Burst would come out. That's true, because if you hit the buttons at the same time, you burst.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Okay.
Dust plus something else is burst? I don't know.
Dust plus attack button is burst. Okay,
there you go.
I didn't even think about that. But because air throws are also forward and dust now, I've heard it's actually hard to jump instant air dash if you do it the old way into jumping dust. Because if you're still holding forward, you whiff. Because now there's throw whiff animations too, which didn't exist before.
Right.
So it's like CVS2. Remember how CVS2 had throw whiffs, even though you were it was one button, right?
Yeah.
But if they just walked out of the range in the startup, you would
weird.
whiff,
Yes.
right? And so there was whiff. So I think that's just how it works in Guilty Gear as well with the dust button.
I see.
So
So if you wanted to do instant air dash dust, you'd probably have to do like jump, dash button.
right, and
then
then
dust.
dust. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. Yeah, throws are no longer one frame, which makes me
Right,
sad because
yeah.
I loved Wake Up Throw.
They did say it was fast still, but not one frame.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Potemkin had a 3-frame pot buster. It's just I think he was invincible for the first 2 frames or something
really?
like
Okay.
that. So they wanted to make it so it was like an instant grab, but basically it was they just gave it startup, but you couldn't hit him basically. So, so that's really different on throws. Gatlings are present, however, so Gatlings are chain combos.
Right.
You can't chain from lights, punches, and kicks into slash and heavy slash anymore, which is really odd.
Can you? But from what I saw, you also could not do punch punch. It wasn't just that you can't do punch into slash.
Yeah, you could do like punch into kick and punch into
You can do punch into punch and punch into kick.
I
It
think
seemed to me
you
like you could
can.
not. Oh, okay.
Punch and kick can only Gatling into themselves or command normals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can't do punch into kick. Dang. You can do punch and kick, but can't do punch to kick. Yeah, I'm not sure I like the idea of this, to be honest with you. Because,
But you can still do like slash to heavy slash.
yeah, slash, probably close slash, far slash, heavy slash, probably all works as well. But it seems like a weird change.
Okay.
Like, I never knew if that was the problem with the game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've never also figured... And I've always thought that kind of stuff is more beginner-friendly.
Makes sense to me.
Right? If you can actually go punch, kick, slash, heavy slash as a universal combo for every character,
Right.
kind of gives everybody a decent way to start. Or 2K into something gives everybody a universal start. I'm confused by this change.
Okay.
And I'm not a fan of this change.
Okay.
I think that this might be the wrong direction to
Okay.
go with, to be honest with you. Now, it says blocking mid-dash is possible but does not require faultless defense. So before, when you ran and blocked, you could get hit during your skid, but now you could kill that by just doing the faultless defense. And
Gotcha.
you can cancel it. Now I guess you don't even need to do that. You can just dash block.
So now it's like Under Night, basically.
Yeah, so now with the dash button, you can
Right.
probably do the dash block thing, unless hitting back stops your dash, because in Under Night it does not.
It does not.
Yeah, if you do it, you'll just dash and hold back, and if you get hit,
Yeah.
you block.
Right.
In Guilty Gear, you'll probably just stop in the middle of it, but still probably the best way to approach.
Okay.
So, let's see. You can air block, but you don't need faultless defense to block against grounded moves. Air blocking will also increase risk greatly.
Okay.
So basically, now
I see.
now you don't need the faultless defense to air block.
Right.
They just let you do it automatically, but
You mean to air block grounded normals?
yeah, basically, and I mean even to air block at all in Guilty Gear.
Oh, really?
Oh, actually, no, it was just the grounded normals.
I'm not
It
sure.
was just
Okay,
the grounded
yeah.
normals. Like, if you went air to air, you would automatically block.
Oh, that's
but
what I thought.
A
Okay.
lot of the grounded stuff you couldn't. But apparently now, if you air block, you're going to build up your risk gauge a lot. So
Right.
that's the
So
punishment.
there is a downside, at least.
Yeah, there is a downside. Which is interesting, because every Arxis game always has those moves that you can't air block.
Right.
Right? Like in BB Tag, the 2B for everybody is always a good anti-air button. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm interested, like, they even made it so 6P, I guess, doesn't break it, so you don't even need to faultless defense that. Now, obviously, in the original Guilty Gear, if you did faultless defense, you could faultless defense everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to take away, it seems like, the active faultless defensing, right? They're just doing a lot of it for you,
Okay.
which is an odd decision. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure. And Haza says that Kizzy wants to give every character an air unblockable move. At least make it so that you have to faultless defense that, right? Because, I mean, from what it sounds like, they're just making faultless defense not useful. It's weird, because they're just making everything sort of work without it. Dead angle is gone. So there's
What was that angle?
Alpha counter.
Oh, okay.
Alpha counter, but now there's a Roman cancel mini burst, basically, so you can Roman cancel while blocking, and if it activates and hits them, they tumble away, basically. So they basically replaced Dead Angle with a new burst while like a new Roman cancel burst thing. So they just turned Roman cancel to one thing. Sounds like it's kind of mostly the same.
Right, yeah,
so,
okay, yeah.
That I don't mind that. That's fine. That's fine. It just universalizes Dead Angle and Roman cancel merging into one thing.
Yeah,
to do the same thing is fine. So
okay.
That's good. The Roman cancel can still be baited and punished. Okay. Chip damage is in the game, but chip death is not.
Right.
We'll talk about this a little bit more.
We will.
On the feeling of that. So,
Find a new rival.
2 types of counter hits. There's a standard counter hit with most specials and normals. A few special and normals, most likely like 2 down dust, which is the universal sweep.
Okay.
Will cause slowdown versus the opponent while the attacker's at normal speed. So
right.
some of the counter hits are the ones that put that big giant counter hit at the bottom of the screen.
Huge. You mean the whole back of the screen?
Yeah.
It was the entire screen that said counter.
Yeah. And so I guess that there's certain moves can mortal counter or fatal counter or whatever you want to call it. 2D is the sweep. Yes, this move seems to universally call hard knockdowns and big counter on the counter hit. Off the ground attacks are still in, but they don't prorate, so there's big damage. Now, there's also something different too, is whenever you OTG'd characters in Guilty Gear, they were in a very special instant fall back again. It wasn't like you can pop them off the ground and do damage, except for very specific moves in Accent Core.
Okay.
Right? Like when after Potemkin did the slide head, he could pop you up for combos, but that was a unique property.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why he was super broken.
Right.
God, because his crouching slash sucked people in, so it didn't matter the range. It was like hit, suck you in, and now you're in the. Anyways, I agree, Kraken. Seriously, oh god, Potemkin and Accent Core was such a pain in the fight.
Okay.
But so on the off the grounds, they said that in the video they showed sweep into like low slash uppercut, and that was a good combo.
Right.
That would never have been a good combo in the old Guilty Gears because you would uppercut and they go plow plow, and then they get up and they punish you because the OTG wasn't real.
Gotcha.
So now it seems like that there's some sort of newer kind of you can OTG people state. And maybe you can't do anything crazy like juggle them back up, but you can actually pop up them in the air or something like that. Standing dust is an overhead, but now it doesn't go into the big dust animation. So dust is always the overhead, right? Yeah. But now it won't go into the big launch you air thing unless it's a counter hit.
Okay.
So unless it's a counter hit. So what that sounds like is that they're really trying to make that the reward for cranking up risk gauge now. So you can crank up risk gauge, hit them with the standing dust because it's an automatic overhead, and then you can go ahead and get the big old combo.
And then that
off
will
of
count
it.
as counter hit because risk was high.
Exactly. So
Gotcha.
that sounds like that's kind of what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Instant blocking is in, but it will not reduce block stun. So the thing about Guilty Gear is that every fighting game these days, most fighting games these days have the different on block, different on hit, right? Whereas a lot of the old games, it was always the same.
Yeah.
It was always the same. So a lot of games now have this difference on block and on hit. On Guilty Gear, you had to manually make that happen. On block and on hit were the same unless you just defended it. And if you just defended it, then you would reduce the block stun. So you had to manually do that. And for the most part, it wasn't something you learned until you got into very high level. But once you got into the high level, if you weren't doing it, you weren't going to win.
I see.
Right? You just weren't going to win. Okay. Because otherwise, if you can imagine certain things in Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat that are plus on hit being plus on block, you're like, what the heck? This kind of sucks, right? For sure. So they're making it so now it's universal. Now, interestingly enough, I never really just defended that much. I always thought it was like a really complicated kind of thing, and you just had to learn all this timing, and I just never tried it and stuff like that. It's weird because, like, on one hand, I kind of like the change. On the other hand, I'm not sure if I do. You know what I mean? So it's going to be really interesting to see how the game changes with that. Are they going to just... So we don't know yet. Are they just going to automatically make moves different on hit and on block like all the other fighting games?
Right, okay.
So Roman cancel is still in. Roman cancels will cause 50% meter no matter what. So, but they did say there's no YRCs now. So I think there's only like purple RCs and red RCs now.
What are the differences?
So YRC was if you did a move at the start or during nothing or at the startup of your move.
Okay.
Red RCs is if you did it during the active frames of move, or if the opponent is in hit stun or block stun, basically. Anytime they're in hit stun or block stun, RCs would be red RCs. Purple RCs were done during your recovery, so you could try to save yourself, right? So basically there's a lot of moves that you could do, like Fireball RC, and it counted as the startup, but the Fireball would keep going, and then you could YRC that for 25%, but apparently YRCs are gone. Right, so they only
can still do
the purple
timing.
RC.
Well, you can still do it on startup. It's just 50% instead of 25% now. Right or no?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anybody knows if you can cancel the startup of your moves. That is correct. Okay. So you could still do it during the startup, but it costs 50%. But now there's a hit thing on it, hit aura, and if it hits the enemy, then they slow down and you'll see the little clock thing. Like, I don't think it actually hits them, but it puts the clock on them and slows them down. Whereas before, every time you RC'd, even if they were across the screen, they would slow down. Right. So, not quite the same thing there. And then, blue RC? Blue, I guess it's... Oh, blue RC happens when opponent is not in his stun, will slow the opponent when hit. I guess instead of YRC, they have a blue RC? Okay, I'm a little confused by that, so... Okay, well, I would have to probably see a little bit more of how that worked. I didn't get a chance to watch the video. I was busy at Canada Cup, and then... Yeah,
you had a super busy weekend, as we'll talk about.
And brand new things. So there's wall breaks in the game.
Right.
Which is a really interesting one, because it's a cool-looking effect.
It is.
It's exciting. But it also resets the corner pressure.
It does.
So if you're attacking the enemy and you start wall splatting them, you probably don't want to hit them.
Does the transition itself deal damage?
I don't know.
Because if it's Injustice and the transition itself deals damage, but that means you lose positioning, that's just a trade-off you have to decide on as the attacker.
Yeah, so some people are saying it does not do damage. And but they said that you're supposed to gain extra meter for accomplishing it or something like that. But like if you do it, you gain extra meter. But I don't know. So it gives you an attack buff. So you get the damage for the hit that causes it.
Oh, well, okay, maybe that's useful.
Oh, transition does do damage. It's the hit that causes it. So you get the damage for the hit that causes it.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, the question was whether it's additional damage, and I guess not.
Yeah.
But okay, you get a buff of some kind. So if that buff is useful for you, then maybe that's the decision that you make.
Probably.
But look, in Injustice, you didn't often want transitions.
Right.
Usually you did not.
It's interesting because you feel like it's kind of like the transition thing, because it's there to be really cool looking and exciting, and it looks amazing when it happens. Like, it's just like the sickest animation and stuff, but I just don't know why people would want to do it. Okay. You know what I mean? So I think that they're probably trying to try to figure out a way to make it more rewarding. Otherwise, there's no reason why to do it. I would imagine they put it in there because Guilty Gear has been a very typically stuck in the corner, the other guy knows what they're doing, you're trapped and you die kind of game. So maybe they were just trying to do that to reset it once, to give the person a chance to get out of there. Okay. But if there's no reward for it, it's never going to happen because the guy's going to splat you and be like, let me let you recover, and then just start it all over again. Yeah. So.
Well, it sounds like you at least get the buff for now, but I guess we'll see whether that's enough or whether they'll add more. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Wall sticking is still in the game. Yeah, that's the. So here's one that I'm really concerned about.
Okay.
There's no air teching in the game.
There's no air throw tech?
No, just tech. Hit bounce.
Flip. Yeah.
Right? They actually hit the ground again, and it's weird. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. Like, that's Guilty Gear to me.
Okay.
Guilty Gear is about the air tech. Like, that's the first game that really had it outside of Alpha 3 and one of the ones that made it such a big thing. So it's weird. Now, obviously, mash the tech was something that Guilty Gear used to do, but later games fixed by holding the button when you can tech, right? So in Guilty Gear, you held down back, you held one button and mashed with two other buttons so that when you flipped, you would instantly green block because you're holding one other button. That was the trick, right? But in this, but if they just change it to hold the tech, I think it would be fine. But it sounds like they got rid of it completely.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's weird. I'm concerned about that because that just doesn't feel very Guilty Gear to me.
Okay.
To me, that feel now. Obviously, they're trying to do something different.
Yeah,
they're trying to do new stuff.
Yeah.
But do you really want to take away all the things that made your game feel unique from other games? Because the problem with this is by taking away a lot of these things, you're making a different Guilty Gear by making it a similar to something else game. You know what I mean? And that's the concern right here. Yeah, I'm down with making totally different games. We've talked about this with Street Fighter.
Of course.
We like it feeling different. But if you're taking Guilty Gear and making it feel like another game that already exists, I feel like that's kind of defeating the point.
What game do you think that is?
I don't know. Just something more Street Fighter-y.
Okay.
You know what
It
I
feels
mean?
Street Fighter-y,
Just
okay.
feels more Street Fighter-y.
Okay.
And that's kind of weird. And plus another thing is that the game had always been hit stun deterioration based,
Okay.
right? Because without it, there would have been infinites all over the place and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So is it not hit stun deterioration? Are they just going to design the characters so that you have the ability to do they just carefully design the moves so they don't lead to infinites? Or do they just become invincible over time? In the air, or does the lower hit stun just transition them to invincible falling faster than it did before? You know what I mean? So I'm kind of confused by that. So it's more about juggle points than hit stun deterioration. Okay.
Oh, they said that. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Whew. Okay. Stun, stagger, blitz, danger time have been removed from the game.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, stun...
Nobody liked the
whatever,
danger time,
danger
obviously.
time, yeah, we don't need blitz. I mean, was a good defensive mechanic, but I don't feel like you need them as much anymore.
Okay.
It was a universal defensive mechanic for everybody because every character was so brutal on offense.
Sure.
So they created this thing to help you get away from that.
Okay.
But now it sounds like that they're just putting in a lot of stuff manually in there. Stagger was something that you got hit, you had to shake out of, and then there's true stagger combos and not true stagger combos if you could shake fast enough.
Right.
But I guess that they're just trying to get rid of all that stuff so that there's just not a lot of randomness in there. So.
Okay.
Character select screen has character sorted by archetype. I thought that was kind of neat.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, so you saw it was power, and it was Potemkin was under
it did
there,
say that. That's
and
true.
May were under there, and
Right.
I think Chip was listed as Trick.
Oh, was he? Wow.
Yeah, So that's cool. I think that's fine. Button mapping and testing is possible with the character select screen. The move list shows animations of the moves and descriptions.
That was super cool.
That is really
That is
neat.
awesome.
I can't believe... Oh, Axel was the tricky one.
Axel is tricky? Okay.
Axel was the tricky
instead
one.
of Zoner. Yeah, that's
okay,
fine.
okay. But yes, the having the animation of the moves there. I mean, what's taken them so damn long for that, right?
I feel like Virtua Fighter did that 1,000 years ago.
Did they? Because the move list is gigantic, so I don't know if they had a video for all of them.
I think it just showed what was happening on the screen, right?
Maybe.
As you scrolled through, I think that they just showed the move.
Yeah, but
right?
I mean, League's been doing that forever, right? You go to your character and it shows you what all the buttons do.
The League?
League of Legends,
oh,
right? Yeah.
Of
It
course,
just shows you. Yeah. So, yeah, VF and, Tekken let you preview moves, I think, by going to the menu and hitting the button, and you would see it.
Oh, I thought you could just scroll through it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, but it's not like here, you just go to the character select the move list, and it's just right there. So, I think that's kind of cool. Post-battle screen shows statistics of the fight and notes for improvement. So that I didn't see any of. Did you actually get to see any of that?
I don't remember seeing that.
But I think that's cool. I think that
yeah, for sure.
So especially if they have things with the ways to improve and stuff like that.
Thanks to sub, Sir Retro.
Thanks, Sir Retro.
Hope things are going well.
Very bare bones advice. Okay, yeah, I can't expect it to be any sort of crazy.
Naturally. Okay, well, that's the list of changes and whatnot, and what has remained the same.
Yeah.
So, overall, it sounds like you are not stoked.
I'm confused by the whole thing,
Okay.
and I really want to wait to see, because, the game does look slower.
Yes,
the overall pace looks slower. The UI is weird.
There's some weird choices that are, I feel like, probably not the final things.
Yeah, I mean, like
is it the final thing for the little character face to actually move when you?
I hope not.
When you take damage, probably not.
Yeah, but I think they probably want to do that to make it more obvious where your health bar is. But it's not good.
I
do
really
not do
don't
that.
think that's it.
Yeah.
I do think some of it's cool looking. I love the huge counter in the back. I thought that was actually cool. For example.
Like the interesting thing for me, for the visual stuff, like the combo meter being gigantic, maybe the word beat doesn't have to be so prominent. Like maybe it could be a little more faded, up the opacity on it a little bit or something like that. But the thing about it is, I still remember when Marvel 3 first came out, and we were like, what is up with these hit sparks?
Yes.
They're so distracting.
Yes.
Everything is so big. Like, you can't play this as a fighting game.
Right.
And then, like, a week in, like, nobody saw it ever again.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah, because you just get used to them.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think that'll kind of happen the same with some of the crazy UI choices. Now, they did say that a lot of it is placeholder. I'm sure they're going to be working on more stuff. The gigantic combo meter that gets bigger. I don't know what the deal with the written word inside the number is. It's
1 0 instead of 10 was like,
was kind of weird. So but overall, like, I'm concerned about the game becoming not what Guilty Gear is. However, that's because the game is a legacy game.
Sure.
Right? So, like Tekken, I kind of treat it in a different kind of thing. Like, if this were Street Fighter, I'd be like, let's go. Yeah. Let's do this.
Street Fighter's established that each game is very different since literally the second one that they made.
But here's the thing. For Tekken, I almost feel like Harada needs to kind of do a reboot as well, right? Because now we need to kind of move away from the legacy stuff, because now it's being tricky for Tekken, because now we have things like cross-up. Now we have the controllers. We have all these, like, now it's going to be, we're getting frame data in the game, and that's something that Harada's never really wanted. Mm-hmm. The way the game is being played has changed, and so, like, I feel like, you know, trying to make it so that it's not as much of a legacy game might be kind of due, right?
Don't you think that Tekken 7 was that change?
Not really.
Weren't there substantial changes in Tekken 7? I'm not an expert, but that's what I remember hearing.
In Tekken Tag 2, they made it easier to get up off the floor. That was one of the big things. But the thing is, they never reduced the number of moves. They've never, you know, like, the game still plays mostly like Tekken 7, just like Tekken. Okay. The simplifications of it are so minute, I think, that it doesn't really count. Like, they definitely added armor moves and stuff like that, which previous Tekkens didn't have, so kind of an easy way to get out of situations and stuff like that. So like some people are saying, the throw changes were the big changes, because you could tech regular throws with either button, basically, but then most people just didn't do regular throws. They did their command throws, right? I guess right now I feel like I need to get my hands on this thing just to see how it feels, and, you know, I'm confused by a lot of the changes. Okay. You know, and I am worried, because here's the thing, right? When you're making a game like this, Guilty Gear is kind of known for being difficult. Guilty Gear is a complex game. And it's scary to a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to play the game because it looks too complex. So I get lowering the difficulty on stuff. I thought YRCs was a great one, removing FRCs and stuff like that, like universalizing that system and stuff like that. But here's the thing, right? Like, the fans of Guilty Gear kind of want it to be still very Guilty Gearish, right? And you're making it simpler to attract new people. I don't think that there's been any proof in the FGC yet that simpler games attract newer players. Okay. You know what I mean? And I've always been the kind of person that doesn't necessarily believe that that's the case, right? I don't know if simplifying the game is going to bring in new people. So if that doesn't work, then the question is, who are you making the game for, right? You're making it for an imaginary audience that might not actually play your game. So that's the concern, I guess, I have for it, is that you're trying to target a group of people that doesn't exist, right? So if you're saying, like, oh, look, Street Fighter V is a simpler game, so let's make a simpler game to try to appeal to the Street Fighter V players, right? I don't think the Street Fighter V players are really going to be all that interested in Guilty Gear in the first place. You know what I mean? If you were interested in Guilty Gear, you were already interested in Guilty Gear.
I suppose.
You know? So, I mean, let me ask the chat then. You know, is there any Street Fighter V players that would want to try a simpler Guilty Gear? Is that something that would make you want to try it?
I haven't played Guilty Gear very much, and although it's pretty, I don't know that this is the Guilty Gear that's going to make me want to play.
Right.
But I also don't know that if Guilty Gear had been entirely unchanged, if I would have played it either. Okay. I just feel like it's not the game that I want to play. Either way.
So, I mean, a lot of people are saying that they would actually get a lot into there. So, so maybe it would be the case then.
I just, in general, don't believe devs when they say that the game will be simpler. Mm-hmm. I just think that that's never happened.
Right.
Whenever there's been a game where the developer's like, this is going to be the simpler version so anybody can get into it, like has happened with SF4 and SF5, and both ended up being very complex.
Marvel.
Like what happened with Marvel, which was super complicated. Like what happened with BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Extremely complicated game, even though it's simpler. Right. It's like one of the most complex games of any modern fighting game.
Dragon Ball's the same way. Yeah.
But definitely BB Tag.
Yeah.
I just feel like that is not real.
Right.
This
fighting games are always going to be complicated.
They will just be complicated.
Yeah.
And it's not just fighting games. When other genres have done the same thing and they've said, oh, we're going to make the less complicated version of X, it's always also complicated. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe it, basically. It may be that the game's different. It sounds like it's different, right? Yeah. But I think that that's not the same as it being simple. I can't speak to whether it's going to feel like Gear. I'm just not an expert in that stuff. But I think that it's silly to expect it to be simple. It's not going to be simple.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of what I mean, right? It's never worked, really, because I just don't think that there is such a thing as a simpler fighting game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people just figure stuff out.
Yeah, and the game just gets complicated to a point.
Usually.
Yeah, usually. So that's I guess where my concern is like...
I also don't even know that devs really intend it to be simple. I think that it's at least as much about the marketing of it, and I think that's silly. I think you're right that people don't actually want like the simple version. Mm-hmm. But I think that when you hear a developer say it's going to be a little bit more approachable, I really think that's like marketing talk to try to get people interested, but they're not actually designing it to be simple.
They should make a game come out that's exactly like the last one and is complex and just be like, we've designed this game to be simpler, and just they're like, we really did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we really didn't.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you're right that people aren't in the market for just playing a simple game. Mm-hmm. We all want to play something that's fun, and the idea of simple often connotes that it's less fun, I feel.
Right.
So I don't know why that's the marketing, but I really think that that's at least as much marketing as it is actual game design.
Right, but the problem with it is, what the difference right now that I'm concerned about is that they're actually trying to take away a lot of.
Well, it's clearly different, right?
Right, they're trying to take away.
I'm just
a lot
not sure
of
that equals simplicity, but it's obviously different.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole list of changes you just mentioned.
I mean, one of the things that I've always said about Guilty Gear is I always feel like Guilty Gear is the ultimate game in terms of player expression. Like, I feel like sometimes you'll see someone land a stray hit, Roman cancel into some crazy knockdown or whatever. Like, you're like, oh my god, the conversion. And I'm pretty sure they've never landed that combo before in their life. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's just this element of Guilty Gear that when you play it, because of the Roman cancel, because of the freedom of the Gatling system and the movement options and everything, you just get such a one with your character that you're like, this should work, and it does, and you're like, I'm a god, basically. Like, I feel like there's very few other games that kind of give you that freedom, and it was one of my favorite things about the game. When you take away a lot of that stuff, I feel like now the game is going to be a little bit more like, here's your optimal combo every single time.
You could still do Roman cancel.
Yeah, but like you've lost a lot of the Gatlings, for example, right? Right. The Gatling was a big one, right? So if you go in the air and I can't do like, punch, kick, punch to try the timing to make the slash hit at a certain time so that I can hit dust at the higher, or to slow my Gatling down, or so I can do this to pop them up higher so my double jump will actually connect. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of something that I'm worried about, Now, if they can keep the game so that it still feels that way, because the Roman cancel system is still obviously there, and it's one of the most freeing systems in all of fighting games, like, if it still feels that way in the neutral, I mean, I think then that'll be good.
Okay.
So, Like I said, I really just need to sit down and mess with the game and just see how it feels.
Yeah.
So, I will not get a chance to play at Arc Revo, Boats and Joes, because I will not be at Arc Revo. Because Arc Revo is on the same weekend as the North America Regional Finals
Of
CPT, which is on the same weekend as one of the North American final, major tournament spots for Tekken as well.
Hey,
so
man.
the most screwed person on the planet is Tasty Steve.
Yeah.
Because now he has to pick between doing CPT, Arc Revo, and Tekken. So
yeah. All right.
So yeah, that's
that is a lot
brutal.
going on.
Mm-hmm. So it's not about the point of a game being hard for the sake of being hard, right? If you streamline the action and remove the barrier, then you get to the mind games. It's not about being hard for the sake of being hard. It's just that I think that fighting games are hard. I don't feel like that there's a way to not make it hard.
Yeah, I think you're basically right.
You know what I mean? That's why everyone always gets mad at me when I say fighting games are hard. And that's why I don't like it when people try to give the message that fighting games are just as hard as everything else. Because I really just think fighting games are harder than everything.
I don't.
I think that they're harder than almost everything else. And, I don't think that there's a way to fix that. I honestly don't think that there's a way to make it so that you can make it so that they don't feel hard for an individual.
I agree that they're hard, of course.
Also, a lot of people do love execution because that's the one thing you can kind of practice yourself, and when you land it in a fight, you feel good about it. You know what I mean? It's a good psychological thing to have for people to land that thing that they practice, right? Combos are the easiest one. When you land that awesome setup that you've been practicing, same kind of euphoria, right? But it's just not obvious how to lab a setup, essentially. I like I said, I don't see it as making it hard for the sake of hard. I just think that it's hard.
It sounds like you do like it. You do like that it's hard for the sake of being hard. You like that combos are hard, right? You do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm saying that you do like that. You do like the hardness.
Right. I do like the difficulty of it, but that's just something that you have to accept. I don't think that there is a way to make a fighting game.
I'm saying specifically execution.
For execution. Like I said, it's not even necessarily the difficulty. It's just being able just to do something cool.
Well, you like the exclusionary aspect of it, as we've discussed before.
Kind of. I'm
not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying.
Right. I don't think...
Rehash what we've talked about in the past.
Yeah. I just think that it's just it's fun. It's like
That's
fun
cool,
aspect
I'm not saying
of the game.
I'm not saying you need to say otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's beautiful. It's extremely pretty.
So Accent Core plus R to Exert definitely got simpler. And I like that. But the thing is, the game got simpler, and they unified a lot of systems like the Blitz. They got rid of Slashback. They made Blitz for a universal kind of thing. They made the YRCs better than FRCs. I way like YRCs better than FRCs. I hated FRCs. And that's something that's hard to do too, but it's so arbitrary.
For sure.
It's like, this one is 2 frames. This one is 5 frames. This one is like... then not only that... But they started going too crazy. When Guilty Gear XX first came out, it's like, here's your FRC. It was like one of those mechanics. Here's that one move that had the FRC.
Oh, I see.
By the time it got to the end, every character had 9 FRCs, and it really kind of told you where to use them. It was off of this, so you could extend the combo this way, so you could do this setup, and you could do that trap. And I was like, nah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what I didn't like about FRC. It was too crafted.
Uh-huh.
And so I really like the YRC. So I actually really like the simplification that they went from Guilty Gear assigned to, from Accent XX to XXX, basically, X to XX to Exert. Right. I like the simplifications that they went there. I feel like this might be a little bit overdone, but again, as a person who understands the need to change things and doesn't mind, that likes it with Street Fighter and stuff like that, this one... I'm willing to give it a chance, but I'm already kind of skeptical at this point in time. So
I just realized that it's called Exert because it's XXX, as in 3 X's.
Yeah, this is the third X.
Wow.
Oh,
blew my mind.
That's why I always said the new one should be called Cortex.
Wow.
It's
a dumb name, but all right.
Yeah.
Duly noted. I never knew.
Dude, nobody ever knew that.
Other people did too.
A lot of people didn't.
Okay.
Okay. That's so crazy.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why it's called. It's the
Okay.
third
Hey,
X.
it makes
the third
sense.
X Exer.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. Well, I have been saying that I am
Yeah,
not a gear expert
Uh-huh,
at all.
mhm.
I don't know the game very well.
Yeah.
I've never really played Guilty Gear that much.
Yeah, they can't put XXX on a game. You
Yeah,
just can't, you
obviously,
can't
yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yep.
Well, I think all I can really say about it is that if people are worried that it will be too simple, I just think that that's something not to be worried about. Whether it will feel like the game that you want it to feel like, I don't know. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think that it won't be simple, and that shouldn't be a concern. That's all.
Yep. And again, like I said, I feel like maybe it is time for a reset. Maybe it is time to try to not make it as much of a legacy game as before, because honestly, I'm as much as I love Guilty Gear, I'm not a fan of that design principle to kind of make it so that the newer players just don't have a chance, or it's just that much harder for them. You know what I mean? I like how Street Fighter feels different, and every time you play it, it's like a brand new game.
Yeah, each Street Fighter has been very different.
Right.
Which is good.
And I like that. You know what I mean? So there you go.
I
So
agree with that.
it's interesting because, you know, Guilty Gear is so near and dear to my heart, and now that they're doing this to Guilty Gear, I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, on one hand, I like it. On the other hand, I don't. So, like, I'm trying to wrestle with my brain at this point in time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
And that's the other thing, too. WaveGen puts it exactly perfect. You can always play the old game.
Yes.
If you don't like it, Exert is still going to be there.
They will
right?
be there.
A lot
Old
of
games
people
will be
have
there.
gone back to play Marvel 3.
Sure.
Right? Marvel 3 is...
Marvel 2.
Yeah, Marvel 2, Marvel 3, and MVCI probably have all similar scene sizes right now.
Actually, might be right.
To be honest with you,
Yeah.
so yeah. But
Well, okay, we've talked a lot about the engine and all that sort of stuff. We haven't talked about the new characters.
Chip and Potemkin.
Chip and Potemkin are both in there now. Mm-hmm. What do you think about how they look?
The Potemkin stance. I think I have the best Potemkin stance meme out there, because everyone started putting out memes where they're photoshopping like the foot long and stuff
Yes.
like that. And I made them do the Wreck-It Ralph thing.
I saw that. It was a good one.
Yeah, because the thing is, the mistake that I made is that I didn't spell the first bad guy with a capital B as one word, because that's
Okay,
Soul's
all right.
last name.
And you have
That was
at least three parts of it.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the joke in there.
Oh.
And I realized I did not pun it. I should have just typed it that way.
Okay, I didn't get that. I thought that it was... I mean, obviously it's a reference to Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
But I also
as
thought it
Zan
was
gives
the
grappler.
Yeah, okay,
and then
all
also
right.
they're both Russian. But then, you know, you are a bad guy. I should have photoshopped Soul standing
Okay,
there. You
all
are,
right,
you are
fair
a
enough.
bad guy. And
Fair
blah,
enough.
blah,
That
blah.
makes sense.
But,
Yeah, his stance is a little funky. I think that Potemkin looked the coolest in like XX. I don't think Xer looks as cool as XX, and I think this looks maybe a little cooler than Xer, but it's like still not my favorite.
I've just never been a fan of the Potemkin redesign.
Yeah.
It's
It's just I
all
just
it
think he
is.
was better before personally.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I mean, lore-wise, they changed it because he was a prisoner. He's no
Okay.
longer a prisoner.
Okay.
So he's in the army gear now, basically. He's a soldier gear now. But the original armor was, he had the big thing around his neck because it was supposed to limit him because he's too strong.
Oh, okay.
And now he doesn't have it, so technically, lore-wise, he should be way too strong.
Even stronger.
So
Wow, okay.
I don't even know.
Well,
but
Buster looked like it did like 40% damage. But
Did
okay.
it?
It was
Oh.
pretty wild looking.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Wild Throw doesn't even lead to a combo anymore.
Right,
like,
yeah,
Soul's
yeah.
Command Throw.
But it did a lot of
It
damage.
did
A lot of damage.
crap ton of damage.
And then also Chip is in there, and I think Chip looks pretty silly. I'm
funny.
not a fan.
The
His
upper,
face looks good.
The upper half of Chip looks amazing.
I don't even like the muscles. I think his face looks good.
Uh-huh,
He's too muscular for like that kind of character. I feel
Right,
it's
okay,
like weird
okay,
looking.
yeah.
It's like weird.
It's kind of like super fat buff Sagat, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
as
like-
opposed to thin Sagat.
exactly,
I've
yeah.
always liked thin Sagat
Yeah,
better.
100%. Yeah. So the muscles are like anyway. I don't think he looks great. It's beautiful because the game is beautiful, but the design of the character I think is like the pants are.
It's like they fixed Axel's pants, and then they did that to Chip to be like, haha, we're not fixing everybody's pants. We gotta make one of them have bad pants.
The pants are dumb. The lower body is basically
Yeah,
bad.
the weird baggy pants is kind of bizarre
Look,
to
that's
me.
cool if you
so.
guys like it. It's not for me. But yeah, those are the two new characters. So there were you could see people playing each of the characters, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool that they had, they both revealed the new characters and then also had people playing them, which is pretty great.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I do like the fact that they're going that direction, that they're just making the dudes all as hot as like possible, because everybody keeps talking about how cute Kai is in this game right now.
That's cool.
So I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think Chip's face looks good. I just think it's weird that he's so thick. I don't know. I feel like he should be like small and fast. I don't know, whatever.
No, I agree with that. So I like the handsome Chip face.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool.
Face,
yeah.
Okay, Kai is not cute. He's just hot. Okay, so he's just super hot.
Whatever.
So there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, all the characters are a little wider. You know, I don't even know. I mean, obviously they're all muscular, but like they're all just thicker than before.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something about it.
It's just a design choice, obviously.
With the way the game is moving, like it feels a little slower, but the characters also feel bigger because they're all thicker now. Yeah. The game feels more claustrophobic. Like from the videos that I watch, like it just feels a little more claustrophobic. I'm not sure what it is about that, or maybe it's subconsciously because you see the pictures moving in, or the meters aren't stretching all the way to the side for some strange reason.
Yeah,
the game just feels kind of claustrophobic.
Okay.
It's weird. So,
well, I thought it looked very pretty overall. Of course.
Oh yeah,
no
the
doubt
game
about
is
that.
beautiful.
No doubt about that.
It's ridiculous how nice the game looks, but like I said, I'm torn between. Yeah, let's give a new Guilty Gear a shot, and I want the craziness of Guilty Gear, so it's kind of an interesting conundrum.
I don't know. Maybe you'll get it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so King 9999, I'm not concerned about the colors and so he writes in the chat, Keats didn't like how the game looked, characters looked washed out and blended into the background, making them harder to see. I'm not really concerned about that because lighting in Guilty Gear, even it took them a while in Exerd to figure it out, to make the lighting properly, because in the original one, they didn't get affected by lighting at all, and then in later ones, all of a sudden they started getting lighting, because every character has their own source of lighting to make it look a certain way, and everything. They're going to figure that part out, because that's all just has to do with the crazy art technology that they're using. And
I mean, the game's not done, right? The graphics are still going to change. So.
They already said that all the feedback that they're getting from Arc Revo is going to be taken into consideration. And they said nothing in the game right now is safe. They said everything that's there can be changed still.
Right.
Which is interesting.
But specifically with the lighting, I feel like they won't leave it washed out. Because I agree with Keats that it is a little bit too washed out. But I feel like that's something that they'll change anyway.
Like there's too much bloom on everything.
Yeah.
Like everything's glowing
bloom is
too
a good way to
much.
put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the UI, look, the UI is not going to be like that. They're going to change it for sure.
Hopefully. We can't be guaranteed.
And like maybe it comes out like Under Night and the UI is somebody took somebody 10 minutes in Photoshop, but probably not.
Right.
Probably not. Oh no.
It's actually available too. Do they have a preview? Oh, they do have a preview. Yes.
Bullshit blazing, my heart is blazing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That song is revealed. Yes.
It's what?
It's revealed. It is now available for everybody. So there you go. Yeah. They released it, so now you can grab the song anywhere you want to.
Yeah.
It's funny that it was so loud, so. If I play it like this, is there any volume of it coming through the microphone, or is it just That's odd. That's weird. Because, oh, wait. That's this one here. That's why.
The one that was at the max.
Yeah. This is now quieter here for people, right? This is now quieter, right? Yes, there you go. I was moving the wrong dial. Sorry. Oh, they stop at the good part right there. Okay.
The good part. Oh man. I don't know how my roommate calls it over playing Confusion. Hearing the same song over and over again, even if it's one that you like, which is not this, is tough.
That is bullshit blazing. My heart is blazing.
This is my retaliation for your show title name.
What? I changed it. The title of the show is Tuesday's Show, Season 8, Episode 38. Not the smell of the lame songs. That's right. I said not. Parentheses not though. Not really not.
I know there's other formats of this too where I might be able to get the whole song.
Why don't you go to YouTube?
YouTube music.
I don't know why I said that. Terrible terrible decision to say that.
Oh, yes. Let's just get to
When you think your words don't sound like a road, you're trapped in the toxic created by this world.
I can see a 16-year-old me really liking this. That sounds like something I would listen to 20 years ago.
That is bullshit blazing. Still my heart is blazing. If I lose my wits, I don't need a new world order. You can't feel a thing. We already know the thing.
Yeah, I was really into heavy metal, all that sort of stuff in high school. And then in college, I got into electronic music and dance, and electronic dance music and all that sort of stuff. It was weird. So it was quite a change. And before that, I was into blues. I played the blues harmonica.
Right.
I've been into a bunch of different things in my life. And now I'm into podcasts.
Oh, man. I think the song's cool. I don't know. I think the song's cool, so.
Yeah, I thought it was cool for the first, like, probably half a dozen times that I heard it. And then it was like... You even picked exactly the same spot, which is funny. You didn't even go to, like... You can play the whole song. The other parts of the song are... Maybe... At least I haven't heard them all. Yeah, Jasmine's gonna have to.
Okay. Anyways. No, I have to have this.
Did I have a ska period? Yeah.
The smell of the game.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I had all of the like '90s periods.
I never. Well, ska. I guess the closest I got into ska was original. Shoot, why can't I remember that band's name anymore? No Doubt, original
Sure.
No Doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Everybody
they
in
just
SoCal was
went.
into that.
Yeah, they just
Probably
went
everybody.
very pop afterwards.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I even had like remember there was like a big band phase in the '90s. I was into that.
I was big. I love Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, dude.
Yeah, there you
I used
go.
to listen to Big Bad Voodoo Daddy all the time.
I was into all of the like '90s things. Anyway, not anymore. Oh, I don't hate them now, but you know. All right, so there's a song that you can get if you want to.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool. One time I showed my grandpa that I think I probably played like Zoot Suit Ride for him, and I was like, "Hey, check it out! Like the music that you grew up with as a kid is popular again." And he literally listened to it for like 20 seconds, and he just shook his head. He was
Did you really try that? Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh man.
It didn't work.
Okay.
Anyway, anything else to talk about when it comes to the new gear?
Like I said, it's gonna be at Arc Revo. A lot of people are gonna play it. A lot of people are gonna give feedback. They said they're gonna listen to a lot of the feedback.
For sure.
So we'll see what happens then.
Yeah,
we'll see
totally.
what happens then. So
Cool.
there you go.
All right.
Okay. All right. Oh, so they announced the beta in spring 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, did they say spring? I thought that they just said 2020.
Hopefully,
That's cool.
what that means though is that they'll be able to implement any sort of the feedback before the beta, right? So if there's a lot of feedback
Right.
at Arc Revo, hopefully they can implement a lot of that before then.
Definitely.
Shout
Thanks,
out to
Jimmy.
Shoegazer Jimmy, continuing with the subscription for over 3 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, you want to take a break, or what do
Sure,
you want to do
let's
here?
take a break,
All right, cool.
and we'll be right back, guys.
We'll talk about Canada Cup and other stuff pretty soon,
Okay.
shortly, soon. Oh no, I said them at the same time and it came out as shoon. Anyway, later.
If Johnny's in the game, I 100% would. I mean, I'll go. I'm gonna play it no matter what. Right? I just hope Potemkin is not going to be bad, because I would like to play Potemkin.
I got news for you. I have no idea. Hey, can I grab a Forbes?
Oh yeah, sure.
Sweet.
Just, are you gonna stab me with it or no?
Maybe.
All these bullshit blazing till my heart is blazing.
Yoink.
If the world kill me, I don't need a new world order.
I can't believe they're reading politics like
You know the smell of the kid.
Well, here's the thing. If they bring Johnny into the game, I can almost guarantee you that they're gonna get rid of the mist system. Because the mist system has just never played out the way they wanted it to. Because it's always interesting. They always want to develop these kind of cool systems that force interesting neutral. Like if Johnny's mist system was more about hitting you with a coin and then throwing out a mist in neutral and you tried to dodge the mist and he's kind of like forcing you to move around, that would have been one thing. But it always
cool.
ended up being, I have this setup that once I knock you down, I can throw the mist and you're going to get hit by the mist no matter what. They've never figured out a way to make it a neutral tool.
It would be cool as a neutral tool. That would be
Yeah,
interesting.
see, that's how I originally thought it was going to be.
Okay.
And just by nature of the game, they've never been able to figure out how to get around that.
Yeah, that makes
so,
sense, yeah.
yeah. What if they don't want it as a neutral tool? Well, it might not have been the intended design, but that's how it sounded when you first heard. When I first heard that was the system. So I would try to throw it out in neutral and then try to make people run away from it, so I knew where they were.
Yeah, that makes sense,
And
yeah.
stuff like that.
That makes
That's kind of how you use it at first, but then everyone figured out how to use it as something, from the
More
neutral
pressure, yeah.
for the knockdown
For sure, yeah.
situation. Yeah. I mean, by the time it got to Guilty Gear XX, it was already an Oki tool. Because they figured it out in X right away that it was absolutely an Oki tool, so, yeah.
Hey, this part of the song's pretty cool.
But we're probably going to get hit by... I'm going to have to cut out all this audio.
Yes, you will, probably. Oh yeah, this part's pretty cool all of a sudden. Where's this?
Oh. This is the instrumental part.
What? I never heard this.
The Queen section.
That part was pretty cool. I don't know why they hid that behind the bad part. This is so much cool. Is this the same song still?
Yes, this is the same song.
Oh my god, they hid this behind the bullshit blazing part. Talk about burying the lead.
No, my ringtone's never changing, so... Alright.
Alright.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. There's no reason to turn anything into a ringtone anymore these days because nobody calls except for people that you don't want to call, right? So.
Yeah, I don't know that I've gotten a call on purpose from somebody I wanted to answer. Like, it's been a while.
Outside of, like, significant others.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess my wife wants to talk on the phone
the
sometimes.
The significant others is the main one, right? So.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were at Canada Cup over the weekend.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, this tournament is coming off of a quite poor performance last year.
Bad year.
There's no doubt about it. Everybody knows. Lapchi knew. I mean, he definitely talked about it over the weekend.
Like, he came up to us, it was like, better than last year?
He definitely said that.
Yeah.
Unknowingly, Uh-huh. So, coming into this year, it was much smaller. In part because of that, because it had a tough year. In part also because it was in Calgary, again. For the last couple of years, it had been in Toronto, which is a much, much bigger city.
I mean, isn't
Calgary
like 60% of the population of Canada is in like the Toronto region?
In that area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a huge part of the country. Whereas Calgary is a few 100,000 people. Alberta in total is something like 1.5 million people. So it was going to be smaller anyway. What are your thoughts on the event? How do you think it went?
I mean, I'm glad it was back to the grassroots feel of Lapchi's previous events. I feel like as soon as Lapchi tried to make it something bigger, I think that's kind of when it started going downhill.
Okay, so to talk about it a little bit more, last year it was at a convention. It was part of a convention.
EGLX.
EGLX, right. And EGLX did not allocate enough space, enough setups, enough time to the fighting game tournament, and so things happened like the top 8 not being streamed entirely. Right. Not even just that, but like in the venue, we couldn't see it because it wasn't up on the big screen anymore. Like, it was there were a bunch of problems. I don't know that we need to rehash all of them, but it definitely sucked as a year. So coming into this year, I was worried about it, right? And, frankly, it didn't help that my concerns that there were going to be, like, Instagram models there.
Right.
And that they would have Robin and Carrie from the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
Those guys, I met them. They're super cool. Nothing against them. I just felt like if that was going to be the focus rather than the tournament, then I was a little concerned. Well, I have to tell you, I had a good time.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay, cool.
I did,
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
I would say that for the most part, it seemed like it was good again. There were some issues still. I don't know that I can go into the details of them, but I know that actually none of them were actually Canada Cup's fault, which is a bummer. But it was like other people who they had hoped they would get stuff from, etc., or people who they brought in to do work, who dropped the ball a little bit. But other than that, I thought that it was good. It was, things were run on time. There were plenty of casuals the entire time, which is great. Everybody always likes that. It was all within the hotel, so like rather than like previously, there's been an after party that's out in who knows where, downtown Calgary. This was all within the hotel, so if you didn't need to have the extra expense or whatever of going out to the after party, you could just like go downstairs and hang out with people, which was good. There was a 5v5, and that was, it's fun every year. It ended up producing hilarious and excellent moments. So, overall, I would say that it was a big step up. I would say also that it felt like an older school tournament.
Yes,
I think you're right to call it like kind of older grassroots situation. It felt like a tournament maybe several years ago, which was good. I mean, I enjoyed those tournaments, but it was not doing the same things that a Combo Breaker or a CEO are doing now.
And that's the thing, right? Is like, I'm not sure if Lapchi was ever in that position to be able to run those kind of events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So having this event where the focus is really just a good time with the 5v5, after party alcohol, that kind of stuff like that. I mean, look, not to mince any words about it, alcohol is a big part of Canada Cup. I mean, the only time that I've ever been super drunk on stream was on a Canada Cup. So that was anyways, but it's the part of that, and it's supposed to be more about that. And so when it tried to get into bigger and join the EGLX and do all that stuff, I just think that was the wrong direction.
Okay.
Now, obviously, there's still a history of, for example, there was the one time Lapchi started talking about stuff, and Spooky's like, "Are you ever gonna pay me?" Like on in public and stuff like that. So there's history with that as well. But as far as I know from a lot of the people who were there, like some of the people that he did hire, like cosplay judges and stuff like that, they were paid right away and everything like that. So hopefully things are gonna be different for him this year. Hopefully things are a little bit different. But again, the concern is, you probably had to pay the Instagram model something to come out here, right? And I even told Lap myself, I was just like, fighting gamers just don't care about this. Like, we just want to sit down and play games all day. I mean, as soon as the after party room opened up, there were 4 stations and people were on them playing, and there was lines for them. Like, they just walked in the room and they're like, let's all just sit down and go play.
Yeah, they went from playing casuals in the venue, in the main tournament hall, to going to the after party and playing casuals. Yeah,
and that's just the thing, is that's what fighting game players want. They just want to play games, you know what I mean, and have a good time. And so, in the end, having Robin Show and Kerry Tagawa there were cool for me because I got to interview them, and then I got to hang out with Robin Show and talk to him for a while at the after party, and I got to tell him about the fighting game community. He was telling me all about the Hong Kong martial arts action movies period of time, and just like we just had he was talking about family, like he grew up with his parents owning a restaurant. Okay. It's the exact same thing that I did. I grew up with my parents owning a restaurant, so we're talking about that. And he was even saying that once he started getting popular in Hong Kong, then like the restaurant regulars would come and be like, "How's Robin doing?" and stuff like that, and everything. And it was just really, really cool. And that part was really cool. But again, I don't know if it was necessary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As much as, like I said, it was an honor. Like, it was really awesome to interview them.
Sure.
Especially when Hiroyuki Tagawa started bringing up, the Asians in media, because if you follow me on Facebook, that's a big deal for me.
Sure.
I talk about that on Facebook all the time, and he was like, this is 1990 something, and the climax of the film is 2 Asian guys fighting each other on the screen. There's like no other ethnicity. It was like, at the time, that's like completely unheard of, and I was like, I didn't even think about that, but I was like, that is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I even told, like, me and Robin were talking about it, and I told him, like, my brother noted that one of the reasons why one of our favorite movies growing up was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is because we were in the movie.
Right, okay.
There's a short little Chinese boy in the movie, right? Like, and for us, that was such a big deal. And when he mentioned that, I remember how cool it was. Like, it actually was impactful enough for me to go, this is so cool, and we loved Short Round, you know what I mean? And, like, people who don't experience that don't kind of understand how that feels a lot of the time. Sure. So it's really cool. So
yeah. White people are so used to just like being in movies that you don't think about needing representation.
Right, exactly.
I've never felt like I cared about it from the aspect of me that's white. That doesn't matter. But if there's like a Jewish character in a movie, then I'm like,
It's really interesting about the upcoming Shang-Chi. I mean, they're getting an Asian guy to play Shang-Chi, of course, because he's supposed to be Chinese, right? The best part was the actor they got to play him actually has a tweet from years ago that says, "Hey, Marvel, how about making a movie with an Asian American as the..." And he was just like, I guess this tweet aged well.
I saw that. That's hilarious. Yeah. Definitely.
But they even said that they're thinking of rebooting some of the Netflix franchises, right? And they might get some of the same guys to play him, except for Iron Fist. And they said that they might just replace him with an Asian guy. Okay. And I was like, let's do it.
Okay,
come on,
that's
let's
cool,
do it. Yeah, so, it was just awesome to talk to them about that. I was nervous going into that interview because I was like, what the heck am I going to talk to them about, right? They're not going to have a lot to do with games and everything. And a lot of people actually told me that the interview they thought went well, except for a couple of completely misses that I had on some questions.
Well, you
but
can't get 100%, right? That's how it's going to go.
It happens, so. Iron Fist was never Asian, but does it matter? MJ was never African American, or black, I should say, right? I don't even know if Zendaya's... Is she all black or is she partially black, right?
I have no idea, Jay.
But like a lot of the times they always take the characters and they change their ethnicity and everyone's like, it's fine. But then for some reason when people talk about Iron Fist, they're like, he can't be, he has to be, separated from the culture. I'm like, dude, I'm Asian and I'm separated from my culture. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't even matter. So, Yeah, but Zendaya is kind of everything too. Yeah.
I met Robin. I took a picture with both him and Hiroyuki, and we talked. Robin and I talked about my split box.
Oh, cool!
Because I was carrying it around, you know, and he was like. He mentioned that he's really into woodworking himself.
Oh,
and he makes all these little hobby things too. Oh. And he was like, you even got the dovetails in there. And he was like really excited about how I made it. And so we talked a lot about how I made it. And he was like, this is the coolest looking controller in the whole venue. You know, so I thought that was pretty cool. That was cool.
You know what? He also, when I was having that conversation, Justin was there. They were talking about having kids and family.
Aww.
And how much they miss their family right now
cool.
and all that stuff. And I was like. Man, it's so weird having Justin talk about his kids and everything.
He's got a baby.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, man.
So, in conclusion...
And also, I just want to say that man is 59 years old.
Yes.
And he looks amazing.
He looks great, honestly.
He looks so...
Well, as I said, I saw him each morning in the gym.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I saw him each morning in the gym. Yeah, I've been going to the gym more regularly for physical therapy stuff. And so I'm in there doing my light little exercises with like my rubber band, my TheraBand or whatever. It's like nothing too serious. And he was in there doing an hour, it seemed like, on the exercise bike.
Oh, damn.
And no book, wasn't watching anything, no headphones, just like this, like for like an hour. It was amazing. Yeah. Oh. So props to him for that. I mean, no surprise that, you know,
right.
if you keep yourself in good condition like that.
Yeah. And again, we didn't mention, of course, that's Liu Kang and Shang Tsung from the Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So and also Gen from the Chun-Li movie. And then also Heihachi from all the Tekken movies. And apparently Robin Shaw was also in DOA, and I did not remember that. So, but he was also in Beverly Hills Ninja.
I didn't see that. Yeah,
he was in Beverly Hills Ninja. So, yeah. But it was cool talking with them.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just don't know if they enhance the event all that much. You know what I mean?
I mean, we've talked a lot about it now, so I guess probably you can conclude that it did have a positive impact, maybe.
Yeah,
but
I guess that's true.
Was it necessary? Maybe not. Anyway, overall, I did enjoy myself at Canada Cup. I had a good time. From what I talked with for other people, they also had a good time. So I think that's
a lot
encouraging.
of people had a positive stuff, and some people were like, "This was my first Canada Cup. It was amazing. I'm coming back every year." It's because they didn't go last year. I mean,
maybe, yeah.
Honestly, it's just because they didn't go last year. It was so bad the previous year, and like I said, it was back to being kind of that grassroots feel again. Yeah. So in the future, I don't think it should necessarily be a premier event. Could be a ranking event or something like that, but I don't think it should be a premier event. But I think that's good. I think if Lapchi continues just to run a small style, this is Lapchi style kind of event, I think that would be much better than trying to turn it into something super big and maybe even trying to like sell the property at some point or something like that. You know what I mean?
By the way, Lap gets all the credit, but shout outs to Troy, who actually does a lot of the work on the organizational side at Canada
Scott
Cup.
as well.
And Scott had previously, although I think no longer.
Oh, that's right. And then there was who's the other one? Shoot.
Oh, I know the guy. Yeah. That's gonna bother me. My bad.
Yeah. I guess it's me with names again. I'm sorry. So
my bad. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. So, you want to talk about the event? Anything else to say?
I also just want to mention that I don't brag a lot, and I always feel like I suck when I do everything. But I'm really proud of what I did this last weekend.
Nice. Yeah.
I commentated 6 different freaking games. I commentated Granblue Fantasy, BB Tag, Unist, King of Fighters 14, Tekken 7, and what was it? Samurai Shodown. I commentated 6 different games, and I don't think a lot of people... there's obviously a few guys out there who could have done all 6 of them as well, but... I don't know, like even when I was commentating the KOF one, I was like talking about meter management and something, and the guy who got 3rd place was commentating with me and was like, "That's exactly right." And I was like, "Yeah, I feel good about this."
You should. That's great.
Yeah,
dude.
so I was actually really proud of that. I didn't do any Street Fighter commentary. I tried to make sure, like even 5v5, Lapchi wanted me to do it, and I was like, get some. I just wanted to have a Street Fighter V this weekend, not because I didn't want to, but just to kind of prove that I could do a weekend without it. You know what I mean? And so,
for sure.
And I felt like I did a good job with all the games. Shout outs to everybody who helped me with all the games, all the experts that I was able to ask questions to, like, oh, how does this work, and da 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 da, stuff like that.
Cool, man.
But I felt like I held it down really well, and I'm just like I said, I felt really good about it.
I'm glad that you can say that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah. I'm glad that you can tell yourself that. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Good work, dude. I did 2 hours of commentary.
Oh, by the way, I did also want to mention, you did 2 hours of commentary.
I did precisely 2 hours of commentary the whole weekend.
That's no wonder you had such a good weekend, dude.
I was playing casuals the whole time. Yeah. It just worked out like that. There was supposed to be a second set of commentary, but the tournament actually ended up finishing before that.
Right.
So
yeah, the funniest thing, too, was that Street 11, one of the players from Canada, from that area, I commentated him in 5 different games.
Wow.
He played 5 different games, and I commentated him in every single one of them. So I feel like that's like some sort of crazy record.
That's probably a record.
It was actually really, really cool. All right, results.
Always cool hanging out with the folks up in Calgary and in Canada generally. Street Fighter V, where, of course, it was a premiere on the CPT. Winner was Roto Tokido.
Yeah, that was one of his... Canada Cup was the location of one of his biggest wins a few years ago. Remember, he got really emotional after he won.
That was in late SF4.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Where Akuma had been changed in Ultra so that he was a little bit less gimmicky, a little bit more fundamental. And Tokido still used him, even though he had always previously played the good gimmicky characters.
Yep.
He was never like a fundamentals guy.
Yeah.
And he managed to win anyway, and obviously that was... He's been one of the best in the world after that. UIU Oil King got second with Rashid. Third, Razor Sien with Ibuki, who has had a really good stretch. He talked about it on Twitter. He got third, then ninth, and third, then ninth. Or no, ninth and third.
Something like that.
Oh boy, ninth and
third.
Anyway, shout outs to him. Mago, Karen and Cammy.
Still playing post-September Mago style here.
Still very good.
Yeah.
Then you had Dogura, Justin Wong, Poison.
Justin Wong was the big one. Because, look, this kind of like Puerto Rico, this was another one of those minefield tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was less than 100 people entered in it, they're all looking for the points.
Dude.
Everybody was stupidly good.
When you see who went 1-2 and 0-2, it was like actually extremely strong players in some cases. There were players like Ricky went, I think, 1-2.
Yeah.
Brian
F told me him and Knuckledew went 0-2 technically.
Yes.
They got a few DQs and buys, but they did not win any games.
They won 0 games.
Yes.
So it was just that kind of extremely dense tournament, which made it a lot of fun to watch, but also very hard to get through. Mm-hmm. Then you had Sako and Nemo as 7th places.
Yeah. But honestly, shout outs to Justin Wong, dude, for that poison.
Yeah,
that was
definitely.
actually really cool. And you know, it's so funny. I forgot who was joking about it. Like, they were like, you could win Capcom Cup right now. And it was just like, probably not, but still, you know.
You know what's funny is that a lot of the Japanese players they have not thought Poison very strong at all.
Yes.
Justin told me that when he talked with them, they said that Poison was bottom 5.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they didn't think that she was good at all. And then you could see as Justin played against some of them that they just didn't know.
Yeah.
They just literally had not done the research enough. Not punishing Crouching Fierce, which is minus 11. It's a lot. And a lot of characters can punish. Didn't know seemingly some of what the setups are, some of what her neutral options are. They just really seemed out of it. I'm sure that won't be the case next time. But the first time that they played against a competent Poison, that definitely seemed to me like they were not yet ready.
Yeah, and honestly, like, Justin also listed all of his pros and cons for Poison. Honestly, the only con that he missed there was one of the cons he should have just put on there was Ibuki. Because that fight sucks,
That looked real bad.
That fight sucks, dude.
That looked
like,
tough.
They were like, it's probably a 2-8 or something. I don't think it's 2-8. Probably 3-7, but still, that was not a good... Yeah, Nemo didn't do very well, and I thought Urian would do well against Poison because of EX Chariot Tackle.
I feel like he will.
Yeah.
When Nemo knows the matchup. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that
just punish Crouching Fierce with like mirror into whatever.
Yeah,
like, it's
I know,
anything.
right? So, but I still think she's really good.
I think she's good.
I think she's really good. What's really funny right now is just the discrepancy in what people think of those characters. We talked to PR Rog, who plays Lucia, and he's like, she's top tier. Then I talked to Ricky, and she was like, dude, she's so bad. Like, she's just
Oh, wow,
terrible.
okay.
She's garbage. And I was like,
Okay.
okay. So, different people have different...
Everybody thinks Honda's bad.
Yeah, and I don't even think he's that bad.
I
so.
definitely don't think he's bad.
Yeah,
Oh, man. Yeah, I played a bunch of casuals with Honda over the weekend, and I did well, to be honest.
Right, yeah.
I beat dudes who went 3-2 and 2-2 in the tournament. And then I was like, maybe I should start entering tournaments again.
Dude, you should.
We'll
dude.
see.
It should
We'll
be
see.
Fun.
All right. Well, that was fun. Smash Bros. Ultimate was actually the biggest, most entered tournament there, and MKLeo won it. Lucina and Joker. Scubs got second. Shoutouts to Scubs.
Okay.
Tekken 7 was won by Dogura.
So good. I mean, there wasn't
Help
a
Me
lot of
Practice
strong
got second.
There wasn't a lot of Tekken players there. I thought Help Me Practice was the self-proclaimed best in Canada, but it actually turns out that it was the friend on commentary who proclaimed he was the best in Canada.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah, the guy that was helping me with commentary when it wasn't Tasty Steve.
Got it.
But, I mean, shout-outs to him. He put Dogura into losers.
Right.
But then Dogura came back and was just like, oh, wait, I'm Japanese. I didn't even know Dogura was a Tekken player.
I was thinking about this after watching Dogura win this tournament. How many games do you think he has won tournaments for, if you had to ballpark it? I mean, at a
Different
minimum...
games?
Yeah, at a minimum, BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, Street Fighter,
Dragon
Ball, Tekken...
Yeah,
Those are the ones I know about.
Yeah, right?
And I feel like he's probably won stuff in, like, King of Fighters and...
Didn't he win like
whatever,
a tournament in like what was that one game that was like the team game with like Fuudo or somebody, the For Honor or whatever like that?
Did they win it for Honor
I don't
tournament?
remember.
I don't know.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he
no,
did. You
who
know,
would be surprised? Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, that guy is kind of
You know, it's funny. I was
ridiculous.
hanging out with JB. This was even before Dogura won Tekken. We were just watching Street Fighter, and JB was like, "I think Dogura is one of the best players in the world in general, and whenever he plays a game, he wins it." And I can tell JB said that he could tell if Dogura hasn't been playing a game as much if he doesn't get into grand finals.
Oh right.
Like that. Like
yeah.
that's his thoughts on Dogura are basically like, if he's playing and taking it seriously, he will be the best or one of the best at it. Like,
He's right.
Yeah, I think he is right. But I feel like Dogura is not a player that we often talk about as being in that pantheon, and he is.
Yeah,
he should be in there.
He should be right in there with the Kazunoko.
He should be.
Even Goichi and stuff like that.
Extremely good in many games. Then you had the Jaggernaut, which is a good name. Then LL Lightning. Then Smosler.
Lightning. I always
Appreciate
joke
the name
that.
also.
I joked on stream that he has 2 extra L's at the beginning of the name so he can hand them out to other players.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then came in, and then Kendrick got 7th and tied with somebody named Waxel, who played Marduk.
Shout outs to Mike Ross
Yeah,
getting
that's
top 8 in
little
Tekken.
Mikey
dude.
Ross there.
I mean,
he started playing the
inspired
game
me.
after Evo. I asked him when you started playing Tekken. I didn't know you ever played Tekken, and he said after Evo is when he started. And he's already made top 8 at his
Yeah,
tournament.
and I'm inspired by him.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good job to him. Good job.
Samurai Shodown, which is a qualifier on the SNK
okay, World Tour.
was won by AMTRS Score.
Now, he had already qualified at UFA.
Indeed. So second place was EG NY Chris G.
So he is the one who officially qualified. So he has officially qualified. He qualified no matter what once he got into losers finals because third place was Andy OCR, who also qualified already. So basically, the losers bracket was to find out who got in. It was actually kind of nicely worked out that way. That Score and Andy OCR were in winners finals, and losers bracket was literally who was going to get in there.
Oh, wow.
Except for Justin, but he lost like the first round, and then
You got 7th.
yeah, but Justin wasn't even playing his main character.
Right.
Because he said he wanted to... I don't think he knew that it was going to drop down to the next person because he said going in there he was only going to play Basara because he didn't want to take a Japan trip from anybody else. And so he played that character instead. I don't think he knew that it was a drop-down kind of thing.
All right. Well, whatever. Scrub Sabat got 4th. Then Mr. Crimson, who has been doing so much traveling. And he outs by 5th as well. Then Jimmy Bones and Justin got 7th. As far as Mr. Crimson goes, I asked him, whether he's still going to be traveling, especially for CPT. And he said that he will be. And he's probably not going to get into Capcom Cup based on points. However, he can definitely get into Capcom Cup as one of the European representatives. So the person who's on the global boards, who's the highest European not otherwise qualified, will make it. And it's either Crimson or Takamura, basically. And so Crimson, as long as he gets basically any points, is good. He literally told me if I get 20 points, like, I'm going to be good.
Okay,
so
okay.
He's going to be going to North American Regional Finals also.
Interesting.
MK11 was won by Chris G, second place Flux Waves, third place Shine. These are literally the 3 players that I would have seeded in order.
Okay,
in exactly
okay,
that way.
okay.
So shout outs to those folks.
Yeah.
Ultra Street Fighter 4 they played. Justin Wong beat Smug in Grand Finals. Justin Wong told me that he did literally nothing but jab.
Yeah, he said he got bodied, then he was like, wait, I just need to hit jab.
He said he actually only pressed jab so much that the commentators, if we had been commentating, wouldn't have had anything to say. That was his take on it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dragon Ball FighterZ was won by Chris G as well. Marvtronic, then Arctic. Melee was won by S2J. Oh, that's cool. I didn't.
Okay.
Then Bladewise second. Undernight was won by FF14 player.
Very, very good. But second place,
Tommy Two Step.
I did not even know Tommy Two Step was a Eunice player, and he said he was more up here for Eunice than anything. He loves the game, so he really, really loves that game.
Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 was won by Waxel.
I heard it was a really good match. It came from losers bracket,
Over
beat
FF14
player who was a May player. I think he used to be named Mr. Dolphin, and they said that it was a really good match. So
Third place was Free Skeet Axel. Axel got first and third?
Wow.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, that is a little weird. That is a little
Ooh!
weird. So.
Woo! Thanks for the bits.
Oh, yes.
High five.
Woo!
Dang, an anonymous cheer. What a name.
Dang, look at that. Look at with the cool little ghost graphic,
got
too.
the ghost and everything.
Dude, that's well animated.
Soul Calibur was won by Zed, BB Tag by Troner, KOF 14 by Score. Okay, nice.
Yeah, he had already qualified, so the qualifier became El Rosa in second place.
Wow, cool. Okay.
So it was him and Vicio. Vicio is from Texas. El Rosa's part of that team, though he lives in Northern California. So their losers finals match was to determine who made it. And El Rosa was the one who was able to qualify.
Team Japan 2 won the International 5v5. Let me rephrase that. Kichipamu won the International 5v5.
He bodied
He beat
everybody.
9 people. They had to reset the bracket in Grand Finals, and he aced the first one. And then he won 4 straight, and it was close at the end, and he lost finally, and then whoever
It was like the
played
Alex
afterward.
Myers.
Yeah, it was the
yeah.
Alex, yeah. All right, there you go. That's Canada Cup.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Soul Calibur 6 World Invitational 2019.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even know that was happening this weekend. Like, it's been so low key. Like, there's just been so little information about it. When I started seeing information about it, I was like, what? It was this weekend? And I was actually kind of sad that I didn't actually get a chance to see it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm definitely going to go back and check it out over this week. Winner was Skill, Mitsurugi from France. Blue got all right, with Aswell got second. Then Lolo MX. Then Link Ors, then Shen Chan and Party Wolf, and then Kiev and Yutoto. Check out the characters. Mitsurugi winner. Second, Oswald. Then Sungmina / Yoshimitsu. Then Siegfried / Geralt. Then Cervantes. Then Killick. Then Nightmare. Then Voldo.
That's really impressive.
That is actually amazing.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Okay.
Party Wolf had won the
Last chance qualifiers, which I was super happy about. I was like, let's go Party Wolf, let's go Killick. Yeah, exactly. But that just means it's very balanced. And now
that's awesome.
New stuff coming out, and they also announced Hilde there, which
did.
we'll talk about a little bit later on. So
Cool. Takra Cup. Oh, this was cool.
yeah, this was the Tekken premiere in was it a premiere?
I don't think so. I think it's a dojo.
It was a
Let me see.
dojo, but it was
It is a
in
dojo, yeah.
it was in Pakistan, so it was such a big
Yeah.
deal that Pakistan has literally gone from wait, there are players in Pakistan? That's cute to holy crap, they're the best to Akuma's broken because clearly they shouldn't be winning, and now they have this event here on the Tekken World Tour. That's super awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I heard was that UIU did the organizing of this as well. I thought that they were just streaming it, but I heard that they also did organizing and that they sent out people to do the media and commentary.
okay.
So shout outs to them if that is accurate. That's what I was
That is
told.
really, really cool.
I haven't heard other news about that, but if so, that's super, super cool. Winner was GG Atif Butt with Akuma.
Okay.
Second place was UIU, well, now he's UIU Go, the John with Marduk Akuma because he got... So what was going to happen was whoever got the highest, who had not already been sponsored, who did not already have a sponsor, was going to get a UYU sponsorship to go to the Tekken World Tour finals in order to try to do the last chance qualifier.
But they liked him so much that they just signed him, like, right?
No.
The rest
So
of the year
now UYU Go means that it's like a one-time thing.
Oh, okay,
They will
okay,
send him
okay,
to the
okay.
LCQ.
There was somebody else that happened to. Oh, wait, it was like a Noctis player, I think, that they did that to. Okay, anyways, keep going.
Third was GG Awais Honey with Akuma. Fourth, 7CG Kashi Snake with Akuma. Then fifth, Zarnab Leo and Newman CH with Steve. Then seventh, Kanga Hira with Steve Akuma. Seventh, also Ryuke Leonidas with Akuma and Eliza. So
clearly
if you're keeping track, you had Akuma main win it. You had Marduk with Akuma secondary get second place. Then you had third Akuma. Then you had fourth Akuma. Then seventh was Akuma secondary. Then seventh also was Akuma main with an Eliza secondary. So you had 6 Akuma in the top 8.
Yeah. Clearly a very, very strong character.
That's something to look out for, maybe. I like to think that the plural of Akuma is Akuma, but maybe not. I don't know.
Reasonable. It's reasonable. Yeah, it's reasonable. Again, I mean, obviously with the characters, best players will always affect the region.
Sure.
When you have someone like Awais Honey or Atif Butt or why is the name escaping me? Arslan Ash, all playing Akuma to the level that they do, they're going to inspire a lot of the other players to play him to that level as well, and you're going to have an influx of Akumas in your region, right? So, is he the best? I mean, it's a really good chance that he is, yeah. So we'll see what happens, but that is definitely a character that all the Street Fighter players know all too well about.
He's never been bad. The Akumas, the Akume, the Akumim, Akumote.
Yeah, remember how we were talking about the weird names for the teams last week, the esports teams?
Yes, I do.
And one of them was the Hitman, right?
Yeah.
The Hitman.
No,
right?
it was Hitman, I think.
Oh, was the Hitman? Well, someone said that there was a hockey team in Canada named the Hitmen, and I actually found out this weekend is because they're owned by Bret Hart, who is Bret the Hitman Hart. So that makes sense. That's why they're called the Hitmen. So there you go.
There was also TXT in Buenos Aires, Argentina. This was a challenger event on the Tekken World Tour, and it was won by FSN Leo Chavez with Zafina.
Nice. Okay.
Second place was UYU John Ding with Eddie and Lucky Chloe. Meanwhile, the cat is on the oven. Okay, good. Then Get Gosu Abelda Maestro got third. Then fourth, GG Saint. So you did have players come from East Asia, and they did not win.
Yep.
And shout outs to Latin America for
I think they said that Leo Zaves or how Leo, but they said that he's not from Peru, I think. And
this was in Argentina.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I think they said this is the first year that a Peruvian did not win the tournament.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on the chat. So he's from Brazil. Okay, so there you go.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Okay.
So that's cool. I mean, again, shout outs to Latin America, South America. That's very, very cool. Nice work.
There was one other event, wasn't there? Because didn't Nee beat Arslan Ash in a tournament this past weekend?
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that he beat him with Negan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he actually beat him with Negan. Which event was that? Oh, it's pronounced Chavez. Okay.
All right, I was right.
Leo Chavez. Nice. Good job. Oh, that was today? Oh, that was today.
Dang,
okay,
I didn't hear about that. Sick.
I just saw it. I must have saw it on Twitter earlier today and just got it all.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just in SFL, Team Gale, which is NuckleDo, Rob TV, and Shine, basically ran away with it. They're 7-2 overall.
Yeah, they're doing super well.
They're definitely good. Mm-hmm. Then three-way tie. Storm, Inferno, Frost, which is Strider, Tommy Two-Step, Mojo.
Who have been the breakout team of the year, of the season so far.
Okay. Punk, Broly Legs, JB. And Dual Kevin, Samurai, Sherry. All tied right there. With a tiebreaker, which is what the order about it is. But yeah, that's the top four. Basically how it's probably going to end up. unless something wild happens. I don't even know if Spirit, which is CJ Truth, Saban, and IDOM, is mathematically possible for them to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Probably not, I guess.
I think it's out.
I think that's the top four for you. So shout outs to them. In Japan, obviously that's still going on as well. And currently the top place, I should say. This team is absurd. Fuudo, Bonchan, and Shuto are the highest placing currently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Fuudo is apparently a winner no matter what.
Okay, we'll get to that. But tied at 4-2 is that team, and then Mago Machabo Ujix, and then Daigo Fujimura Kawano. What can you say about these teams? You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know how 3-3 is Nemo Kichipamu and John Takeuchi.
That's because Kichipamu keeps getting banned. Remember, he was like, "I know how Idom feels now."
Okay, but Nemo and John Takeuchi
can
surely hold up their end of the bargain. 2-4, Tokido Gachikun and Haku. How? Then 1-5. 1-5. Itazan Dogura Moke. Come
on. We were
on.
just talking about Dogura as just being like one of the great. Oh my god,
that's incredible. Anyway, those are the tournaments that happened over the past weekend. I also wanted to talk about how we tried to go to Tally's Wrestling.
Yes, that's right.
So when we were in Canada in Calgary for Canada Cup, one of our friends is now a wrestler in Alberta, Canada.
Kylie Morgan, essentially.
Kylie Morgan is what she wrestles under, and so we wanted to go watch her wrestle, right? And what we had thought the deal was is that you show up to the Saddle Dome, which is coincidentally where the Flames play. We thought coincidentally.
Right, yeah.
And we showed up, and it turned out that you needed to have had tickets to the NHL game in order to get into the wrestling event. And we showed up at the end of the hockey game thinking, okay, well, we'll just buy tickets to the wrestling show. And they wouldn't let us in. And we were like, we'll buy tickets retroactively to the hockey game to get in. Let us give you money.
And they were like, we can't do that.
They wouldn't accept
They even got like, higher up person came out and talked to us. They're like, sorry, we can't do that. So that really sucks.
That's a bummer. We just wanted to watch her wrestle. And then she told us the next day that she looked up and didn't see anybody she knew. And we were like, no.
Oh, man.
So that was disappointing.
Yeah, I'm really sad about that. But yeah, it was unfortunate. But it would have been cool to watch her wrestle. Cool. Heard it was one of her best matches, even though she did get concussed partway through the wrestling match. But it's really interesting when you actually talk about and like you hear the kind of stuff that you have to do. Like the other wrestlers realize what happened.
Yeah.
And they just have to improvise now and not have that wrestler while they're lying there for a little bit, and stuff. So it's crazy. She goes by the name of Kylie Morgan. You guys probably also know her as Super Taunt on Twitter. She's done a lot of fighting game cosplay in the past, and she's been at a lot of Canada Cups. I met her like 10 years ago at Canada Cup, so like at one of the first, not 10 years because there's only been 10 Canada Cups. So
2010 or 2011.
Yeah, well actually you're right. So it was like 8 or 9 years ago that I met her. So for sure, yeah. So she'd been hanging out in the fighting game community scene for a little bit.
Oh yeah, long time.
Yeah, and now she's doing wrestling stuff, and I think that's super cool.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Would have been cool if we had seen it. So instead, we just had a nice Uber ride into downtown Calgary, and then we walked around the Saddle Dome for 7 minutes. I don't know. And then we just called an Uber and went right back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, that's all. Anything else to say about these events and whatnot?
Nope. That's all I can think of. So.
All right, well, let's move on then.
All right.
So we talked about gear. As far as some other game news... Oh, no, we have to do this viewer choice situation in 5-5 matchup.
We want to do the regular one first,
okay, let's talk about the 5-5 matchup.
Chip death is a hard topic on the community's mind right now. A lot of people have been talking about chip death because they took it away from...
Youmacon did happen over the weekend.
That's right,
and
Youmacon.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And let me see if they have the results anywhere. That's 2018. Bummer. You know, it's hard to keep track of everything.
It is. Was Sonic Fox there? Did he take 2 games?
He did. And I know that Sonic Fox took 2 games because they put on Twitter that they won, I think it was Mortal and Dragon Ball, and then gave their money to 2nd place or 3rd place.
Yeah.
Nice work.
What a fella, dude. It's like I said,
Youmacon.
most wholesome person ever with the most unwholesome timeline ever. So
I never get got somehow. I never see the bad
have you
likes.
culled your... Well, you probably have also made it so that you don't see likes on your timeline as much, right?
I'd love to. Can I do that?
If you actually just go to the likes and actually keep saying, I don't want to see this over and over and over and over again, they go away. I don't see likes on my timeline at all anymore. I have no likes on my timeline.
Okay, I will definitely be doing that, but no, I haven't been doing that.
Yeah. If you just keep doing that, and it sounds weird because it sounds like you're like trying to like, you almost sounds like you're reporting the person, but you're not really.
Okay.
You just say, I don't like seeing this, or I don't like this tweet or something like that, and you just keep doing that on your likes and they go away.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. I'll definitely do that.
I don't
from now
actually
on.
see likes on my timeline at all.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Wow. Oh, wait, Ultimate's the new one. Never mind, Brain. Come on, Brain.
It's
Come on,
fine,
Brain.
dude. Trust me.
All right.
Trust me. So my DJ name is JC Nile.
That's a
right?
good
So,
one.
Yeah.
Oddvo won it. Tekken 7 was won by Jackie Tran. MK11 by Sonic Fox. Under Night and Birth by Klim. Mario Kart
Jackie Tran, which one? Which one?
7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Tekken. Street Fighter 5 by El Chicote. And Peppery Splash won Rev 2.
Okay, makes sense.
Psycho Chronic won Alpha. Which one is Alpha 2?
He won a lot of stuff. He won Super Turbo
Did he?
there, too.
Yeah, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Wow, they had a Breakers, and it was won by Soul Good Guy.
Nice.
Marvel Infinite by Jacko Man. Nice work.
Nice.
Sonic Fox won
Dragon
Ball. Melee was won by Heartstrings. And as I said, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was won by Princess Brat.
Okay.
Mario Kart.
Nice.
Cool, there you go. All right. We're done with the results.
Okay. Chip kills.
Let's talk about 5-5 matchup topics.
So the problem with it is now, when they introduced the new Guilty Gear, they said that if you pick Chip, he can never kill anybody anymore. Yeah. No, okay. Everyone's made this joke already. Look, obviously there's no more chip death. There's still chip damage in the game. Street Fighter V was one of the games that changed to that. BB Tag, you can't die by chip. Dragon Ball Fighters, you can't die by chip. It has become this norm now that you cannot die by chip. And the interesting thing about it is that there's a lot of people out there who prefer it this way. They're like, I hate chip death. It feels like if I get knocked down into a KO situation and you meaty fireball me and I die, like that's lame. Like you have to actually earn your win now. You can't just chip me to death. Blah 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 blah. And it's so weird to see this proliferate now for me as an old school player when chip death was in everything.
Yeah.
And it's very odd because I come from a completely opposite standpoint. I think lack of chip death makes all comebacks completely pointless. I actually think, like they say, oh, you didn't earn it because you didn't kill me. If you can block forever and not jet chip to death, I feel like all comebacks are unearned. Like, I actually just really feel like that's, like, is it really impressive that you made the comeback then? Because if I have 0 life and you have this much,
Yeah.
and both of us are going to kill on the next confirmable hit, does it really matter you have this much and I have 0? No, we have the same amount of health. We have the exact same amount of health.
That's rarely true.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you get hit by pokes or whatever
Yeah.
like that, but still. It's like there's no more danger for being in that situation than the other situation on confirmable hits. You know?
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you eat
If
a jump, then
Karens,
you're dead.
if the two Karens are fighting each other and one of them hits the other with a low forward, they win.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter which Karen you are. And that, I think, is kind of sad. But, I will
Wouldn't that
say
be
this.
the case anyway?
No,
if chip
because...
damage was in there?
No, because now you have to even be worried about blocking low forward.
I just think that Karen is not a good example, is what I'm saying.
No, because like I said, if you block low forward, you'll die. Because block low forward and the Tenko will kill you.
I guess that seems like it's pretty minimal. If we're talking about a fireball character, then it's a big difference. I think Karen's probably just not a great example for chip kills, but if you're a zoner, it will happen more often.
Right.
If you're a fireball heavy character and even not a zoner, right? If you're a Ryu or whatever, then that will happen more often too, for sure.
Now, the only thing that I will say, though, is that, you know, for a game like Guilty Gear, in particular, I don't see what the point of it is because they literally had a mechanic built into the game to avoid chip death. Now, there's no reason to spend it. You know what I mean?
With faultless defense,
Yeah.
green blocking?
Yeah. I would have rather had faultless defensing just drain slower.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
okay,
So
sure.
like it's still there, but now you can block way more of it. You know what I mean? Or something to that effect. You know, I'm not sure why they would take it away, to be honest with you. And now, again, there's some games that it's probably good that you can't die by chip. Like I think BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle is perfectly fine without being dying by chip.
You know, if you have something like Resonance and Supers that deal 100% chip, you probably shouldn't let that also kill.
Right.
Right. Yeah, you can. If you're not done, you can continue.
Well, I like the MK11 chip death option because
Sure.
you have the 2 defensive bars. Like, I feel like that they should do something more about that. Like, if you have no life and you start blocking a Guilty Gear, your risk gauge should go up even faster. Or, I always joked in Street Fighter, like, if you have no health left and you block, your stun meter should just build up until the point where you block a move and you just fall dizzy. You know, something like that. Now, you know, Amezier on Twitter was saying, like, he hates that because, obviously, some characters can take advantage of chip death a lot better than other characters.
Sure.
That's every system in the game.
Yeah.
So, that
Different characters
to me,
will always have different amounts of taking advantage of different systems,
Right.
which is how it should be.
Exactly.
They should take advantage of
I don't know how
differently.
I don't know how Battle for the Grid does chip death, actually.
I think you just have chip death.
Oh,
I
you
think
just die by chip
yeah,
death? Okay.
As far as
okay.
I know. I think this debate is silly and doesn't matter. Either way is can be fun and interesting and produce both fun to play and fun to watch ends to games. You just have to have a game that is made with it in mind. So the example of BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle not having chip kills is cool. You can take an opponent from having 100% life to pixel death pretty easily, which is very strong and
Right.
good, or at least could be anyway. But then you still have to find the last hit. So you can create this kind of very tense situation that is still fun. Fun to do, fun to overcome, interesting comeback.
Right.
Still definitely exists. In Street Fighter V, you have the system where there's no chip kill. Fireballs aren't that important anyway, right? Moves that are for chip kills aren't that important anyway. If anybody would take advantage of it, it's probably Honda. And Honda doesn't need it that much.
Right.
Honda and G actually. If you didn't have, and Akuma V Trigger too. If you did have chip death, G and Akuma and Honda would be killing consistently at 15% life
Yeah.
left, right? So the way that the game is designed would just not work with chip kills, right? It's,
Right. Yeah. The game is not designed
the
with
game's
it.
not designed for it.
If you asked me right now if I wanted to add chip kills to Street Fighter V, I would say no.
It's just not made for
Yeah,
it, right?
it wouldn't work.
Gray life and it's just,
Yeah, it
there's
wouldn't
too
work.
much that's going against it. But there's still plenty of interesting comebacks in a game like that. There's
Right.
still lots of times when the comeback is hard to do and earned. It's fun to watch. It's fun to do. At the same time, I really like games that have chip kills because the idea of a KO situation is cool to me. I don't need it, like I just said, but
Right.
I do think that it also produces interesting end of round situations where the decision is not the one that you wake up into. That's already too late, right? The meaty that kills you is already too late. You needed to have made a better decision 5 seconds ago or 10 seconds ago or whatever.
Right.
And that's cool too. I don't see any problem with that. So I feel like it's something that doesn't matter. Regardless of what you do, matches, as long as the game is well designed, matches that are near their end phase are still fun and interesting, and you have all the cool stuff
Right,
that comes with
right.
it anyway. So I
And-
just
and-
literally don't understand why this is a big important topic.
Well, and like I said, you just have to design it right,
Yeah.
right? Like, for example, in Hyper Fighting, in all the Street Fighter 2 games, chip damage was very significant. It was
Gigantic.
big, but when you got to a certain health, it always became 1 pixel. It was only 1 pixel chip, right?
Right.
So in those situations where you described the 15% death, if you just change it so that once your life gets into that red portion, all the chip all of a sudden gets halved or down to 1 pixel, no matter how powerful the special move, would be a different kind of story. So in chip death in Street Fighter 2 games, literally could only happen if you had 0 life. It was the only way you could die by chip, was 0. Right? It wasn't like a lot of games where, like in Street Fighter 4, you could have a chunk and still die.
right.
Even a super would just do 1 chip, 1 block.
I guess that's basically, it's similar to Last Breath, to be honest. I never really thought about that connection before.
Yeah.
But it kind of is.
That's just the thing. It's just like you can design it well. I just don't think it's a blanket statement. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I
I don't
agree,
think.
agree.
It's like I said, some people in the chat were saying that they think that chip death robs people of good comebacks, right? In my opinion, I don't think it's always a good comeback. because you're not worried about chip death anymore,
Well,
right? So
I mean, in addition, having chip death, there are sick comebacks either way.
right
In all the games that I play and follow, there have always been cool comebacks. In the NRS scene, especially in Injustice, people have complained about chip death as a problem because even normals deal chip in those
right,
games.
yeah.
And yet, some of my favorite comebacks ever are in NRS games.
This is that Flash round, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Flash. I mean, I'm thinking back to maybe one of my favorites ever is Tyrant as Grodd, who made this ridiculous comeback with a character that just should not be able to do it.
Yeah.
And was on Pixel Life. And that was sick. And it was definitely possible.
Justin Wong's comebacks in MVC2, where he made the 3-character cut, the Cyclops versus the whole team versus Yipes,
Yeah.
was all from avoiding chip death as well.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
So I like that. That's fun. I like being able to avoid chip death in a way like with parries. That is also fun.
Yeah. And it's like I said,
I just think there's like any number of systems that could be done with respect to chip death, avoiding it if you do a certain move, avoiding it just it's not doesn't exist, or it does exist and is very
Right.
strong. All of these are ways to end a round that are still cool as long as the game is well designed
Right.
around it.
And the one thing that I never understand about like the whole checkmate situations, there's always the argument, just don't be in that position in the first place. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have died, right? Like if you literally get uppercutted and you hit the ground, you have 0 health left, and they throw a meaty fireball at you and you die, right? If the game chose to just do 1 extra pixel of damage on that uppercut, you wouldn't have even blinked an eye.
Indeed.
You would have been like, oh, he died, yay! But now you're going to be mad because it knocks down and you throw 1 fireball and he died, and that's it. He already died when you uppercutted him.
Yeah.
He died when you he
Right.
made the
That was
mistake
the
when he
killing
jumped.
blow.
Yeah,
Correct, yeah.
exactly. Checkmate situations are fine. They're normal, and that's I guess
agree.
that to me is kind of the frustrating thing, because I want to come from the standpoint like you are, like it can work for the game depending on the situation. I just don't understand why people are saying that chip kills rob these situations, or chip kills are unhype, or
I don't know.
checkmate situations are bad. Like that to me is where my issue lies.
I don't have a good answer
I
for
don't
you.
think there's I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I agree with
There
you.
was that one situation in Street Fighter 4 where Daigo knocked Mike Ross or somebody down, threw the fireball, and then he did the butt slam and he uppercutted him, and it looked cool, but that was a checkmate situation because he just OS'd the second fireball into super,
Right.
but it came out as an uppercut when he butt slammed. You know what I mean? Like he would have died by chip from the super. It's just like those are cool. Like to me, that's really
I
sick.
think that's cool
you
too.
know?
I
Yeah.
thought it was fine when DJ could kill you with 20% life left because
Yeah,
he could
uh-huh,
cancel. I forget which way it was. Was it Ultra into Super or Super into Ultra? I forget which way you could do it in Ultra. Whatever. He
Right.
could do a ton of chip damage. That was fine. Whatever. You know, just I have to avoid that situation. Okay, duly noted.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Not that difficult.
And see, I mean, a lot of people say this. It's like they feel like the aggressor needs to earn that last hit. Well, I feel like the comeback person needs to earn their comeback by avoiding chip.
That's
You know what I
fine.
mean? Like, I don't think that it's as blanketly as being able to say that. It doesn't feel like one person earns it properly, because it goes both directions.
You're both playing the same game with the same rules.
Right.
If you win, you have earned it, or the opponent royally screwed up.
Right. There's
What's
no,
one of those two?
Right, exactly. There is literally no, they didn't earn it. Regardless if there's chip kill or not, they earned whatever they did. You know what I mean? So
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
And it's true that different archetypes are better or worse at it, but that's fine.
that's everything
Who
in the
cares?
game.
Yeah.
That's
If you're
always
going to pick the archetype that struggles, which I do sometimes, I play grapplers. I struggle at chip damage, right? Zangief can't kill you by chip in SF5. So,
right.
like, there's plenty of other ways that the character is good. Whereas, if I play a character like Dr. Fate in Injustice 2, oh man, I killed a lot of people by chip.
Right.
All
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time
yeah.
I was killing by chip. And fine. So, like, what? Either way, we are playing the same game. Different archetypes are better or worse at certain things, which is how it should be. I just think this argument is silly. That's all.
Yeah.
I think that it's not the case that chip damage makes a good game or not a good game. It's not the hinge on which that
Right,
turns at all. It's just it's a side thing. It can also be good or it can be bad, but it doesn't
Right.
make the game good or bad. The game is good or bad, and chip damage is maybe one of the or
Right.
not is one of the ways that is expressed. But it's about whether the game is well designed or not.
Right.
That's all.
I just want, like I said, I just want to dispel the concept that death by chip is unearned.
Yeah.
That part doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
just-
it's not hype if you die in that situation. Well, if you know someone wants to walk up to you and low forward chip you to death, there has been so many rounds where someone's at 0 health and you know the opponent's just looking for longest range bufferable move to cancel into it, and because they abandoned their entire gameplay to look for that they ended up losing.
Right. Sure.
Right? That happens a lot
Of
too.
course.
Right? So that's just the thing. It's like, to me, I just want to dispel that, because like I said, if you're in that situation where you're going to get chipped, you did at least 3 things wrong already. You know what I mean? It's not an unearned victory. I earned the ability to chip kill you by draining you that far.
Correct.
I earned my opportunity to win by a chip kill. You know what I mean? Because
I do.
I played better than you. You know what I mean? Then there are those games like Blaze Blue Cross Stack Battle where, you don't need the chip kill because that would be ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because, that would be kind of unearned at that point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it kind of would be.
Because that's just stuff all over the screen, you know. But that's all it is. I don't like the prevailing theory that chip kills are unhyped, that they're unearned, that they're super like, ugh, and it was Capcom's fault for making Alpha put a cheese symbol up there, you know. So, that's just how I feel. Anyway.
When it comes to the last blow, a chip kill KO situation is not the hype. Like James said, it's the anti-air that then you wake up into the firewall from.
Right.
That is the kill. The kill is the anti-air dragon punch, or whatever it is that leads to the chip kill situation. That's all. You just
Right.
have to look at it as a different spot, which is fine. Cool.
And honestly, Outcast, most people are saying that chip kills are unearned. That's what I've just been seeing on Twitter and in the chat all day. So
That I haven't seen that quite as much, but that's fine. I mean, there are some games where chip kill is maybe a little too strong. But that is not an issue with killing by chip. It's Doom is super good and basically makes it so some characters can't play the video game.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But that is the problem. If
yeah,
there's a problem,
right,
and I'm not
exactly.
convinced it is a problem, but if it is a problem, then it's with how good that shell is rather than the idea of chip kills.
Kill. Right, exactly. So you only see pro chip kill people in your timeline?
I feel like I
now?
see more pro chip kill people myself, but it's probably just the people I've selected to follow.
Interesting. Because I saw Javits talking about the pro chip kill, and he tagged me in something, and everything in response has been like, chip kill sucks, chip kill sucks, chip kill sucks, it's unearned, it's unearned, it's unearned.
I guess I just haven't seen the thread.
Yeah, so I think it's probably just because I get stuck in certain threads onto it. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I agree with Maximilian in the chat that Faultless Defense already solved the chip issue. And I would I just said this earlier, Max, I actually feel like it should be the point where it just makes it drain slower. Just make Faultless Defense drain slower. If they're really scared, then make it last long, because right now in Guilty Gear, when you do it, you drain that thing fast.
Right,
so you can't avoid chip kill that much.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, Spiral Ascent was sick, right? That
Dude,
was
that
cool.
was such a cool
Doom, Strider Doom was so cool. What cool strategies.
I mean, I miss chip death. There's a character in Granblue that apparently has chip ability.
Okay.
And I was just like, this character is probably the one that I want to play then. You know what I mean?
I think it's cool that in MK characters have existed that are based on the thread of chip.
Yeah, Arik
that's
was
cool
another
too.
one that I was involved in the thread, and there was a lot of people arguing. I mean, at least maybe it's confirmation bias. You don't see the ones that are
Yeah, that's what I imagine, yeah.
But there was a lot of people saying that they didn't like it, so...
Iceman can't be chipped by some things. That's too good. Broken
exactly.
character. All right. Well, anyway, is that it?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Let's see what the viewers had to say
Sure.
that we should talk about.
What are the candidates?
Of course, in our 5-5 viewer segment, anybody can propose a topic. We then let the people who subscribe via Twitch and Patreon pick the choice. Wow, we ended up with a tie. Funky. So we had 8 questions.
Oh, dang. Okay.
1. How important is it, and what are the pros and cons of changing a game's system, like Marvel 2 to Marvel 3, Street Fighter 3 to 4 to 5, Guilty Gear Xrd to 2020? What are some of the best game mechanics in fighting game history, in your opinions? And what's your stance on complex-based games with little mechanics? What's your stance on complex-based games with little mechanics, i.e. Smash with its percentage and movement, versus basic-based game with a ton of added mechanics, i.e. Guilty Gear HP system with burst, Roman cancel, etc. mechanics?
This question did not win. Go to the next one.
Correct, it did not. Although not by much. What are the appropriate measures that community figureheads should take to rehabilitate an embattled tournament/TO, and when should they stay out of it? 4. Why are people so hating on the idea of dying to chip? That win condition feels non-existent now and feels like comebacks have been devalued a little.
Well, there you go.
See the last half hour. 5. What characters do you think would excel in a Capcom versus game moveset-wise compared to their original fighting game of origin? Example, Alex was crazy good in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Not talking about it. 6. Should fighting game players start considering streaming on platforms like Mixer and YouTube Gaming? We're not talking about that one either. How can I get more people in my local scene to be interested in improving in the game that I enjoy? I think we've talked about that a lot in the past, so we're not going to do that today. What mechanics in GG 2020 do you hope are retained or removed? Are there any mechanics you've wanted Guilty Gear to have that you can see working for GG 2020? Well, we talked a lot about GG. So here's what we're tied. 1. How important is it, and what are the pros and cons of changing a game's system? Like Marvel 2 to Marvel 3, SF3 to SF4 to SF5, and GG Xrd to GG 2020.
Okay. So we'll do the changing game system one first.
Yes.
Okay.
My take on this is that it's not the right phrasing in the first place. It's not that you are changing a game system. It's a new game. And it should not be seen as you are changing the game system. The game still exists. It's the same. But there will be a new game. And in my view, what I want in the new game is for it to not be the existing game which still exists. And then I can go back and play if I'd like to.
Right.
I want new stuff. I really like that. And I feel like the games that I like the most are games, this is not the only reason I like them, but they happen to be maybe games that, series that change substantially in between the different ones.
Right.
SF2 to SF3 to 4 to 5, all very different,
Alpha,
right?
Yeah. Even
as
Alpha
well.
1, Alpha 2, Alpha 3.
Totally.
Right.
MK9 to X to 11, all different, right?
The Darkstalkers games, all very different
Quite
from
different.
each other.
The Marvels, quite different, right? I like that. I want to have new stuff to play with. I don't want to have the same because the same still exists. I can play it. And people still do play those games.
I mean, theoretically, yeah, you can. With video games, it's a little bit tougher because there is the legacy problem of losing old games because we just don't have consoles that can play them anymore.
Okay, for sure. But most of the fighting games that I care about are still played by people.
Yes.
There's actually still a scene for MK9 if you go online. You can still play MK9. Yeah. I'm serious. There are still people playing online. So if you'd like to play that stuff, you can still do so for the most part. And so I want the new games to not be like the old games. In conclusion, you're not changing a game system. It's a new game. Okay.
I like that viewpoint, actually. That is a better way to state it, to make it so that you have a better understanding of like where the how to react to it, right? I mean, for me, I think it is kind of important, because like I said, I'm on this torn kind of situation with Guilty Gear right now because, there is this legacy and I enjoy what Guilty Gear is and I'm not sure I want it to change that much. But at the same time, do we want to keep maintaining something that makes it a little bit harder for people to come into, right? Like, for example, right now for Tekken 7, I would absolutely ban the cross-up. Like, 100% you need to ban this controller.
Okay.
Because it ruins the legacy of learning electrics and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, that was such an important factor of the game that I feel like taking that away does kind of hurt all the people who practice. Now, of course, there's a lot of people out there who don't care about that, and that's absolutely correct as well. But it's just, I'm one of those people that has a big thing on legacy, and, I appreciate that kind of stuff, right?
That's fine.
I do think that, it's up to Harada to just be like, we're rebooting this game. And I feel like he kind of needs to, in a way, because it is hard for people to get into Tekken right now. And Tekken is so popular. And right now, what Tekken is running into is now they're running into popularity syndrome right now, where they're the most famous game. And now everyone's really mad about, like, Tekken is not getting the passes that it used to get anymore, right? The $4 frame data thing, like, is a perfect example of that. Like, just how mad everybody's getting to that now. And so, like, at this point in time, it might be something that Harada might want to consider doing. It's just kind of resetting the whole entire thing. Not saying to make it a completely different
maybe
game.
not the whole thing. Yeah.
Not to the extent of where you're saying, like, it's a brand new game, but at least simplifying some stuff. Yeah. But, it's interesting. It's interesting because I'm just not sure. It really, like, I don't know. Like, if Virtua Fighter 5 ever, 6, 7, what is it, 6? If Virtua Fighter 6 ever comes out, like, do you want it to be as similar as to the other Virtua Fighters as you want? Or do we want a brand new game?
I would not.
Right, exactly.
I'm also not a VF head.
Right.
For what it's worth. But that's what I would want.
Like, I actually think it's awesome that MK11 tried something so different this time. Yeah, But again, what I love about MK11 is they tried something completely different. They, quote, simplified things, but then they also complicated a bunch of things. They didn't even care. They were like, we're not going to take away all these weird, hard concepts. We're putting in parries that are even smaller parry window than Third Strike into the game and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, like, They did not tone down a lot of the complex stuff, which is why I really like what they did with that game. So
yeah, I think it's important to change between series, but that's just my own take. And Nathan's being a jerk.
Yeah.
And I mean, if somebody doesn't want their series that they like to change a lot, that's fine. I mean, I don't care. But for the games that I play, the series that I play, I would like to see a difference. And I do, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, pretty much. I like the way that you stated it, that, it's like, just look at it as a different game with the characters that you love.
Sometimes they're quite different, too.
Yep.
All right, the next one. What are the appropriate measures that community figureheads should take to help rehabilitate an embattled tournament/TO, and when should they stay out of it?
Yeah, I think this is probably, did I spell rehabilitate right? Rehabilitate.
I need new glasses. I assume it's fine.
Okay. I think I know why that this question is asked, and it's a very vague question. Yes, I agree, but I think the reason why it was asked is because just recently someone was talking about some of the past, transgressions of Lap Chi, and Vi came into his defense and was like, blah, 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 like, you try running an event, this kind of thing, sort of situation. So Vi kind of came to Lap Chi's aid, right? But, like we mentioned before, there was the very public spooky being like, can you pay me, please, Lap Chi? Certain things like that, and so that, I think, is what the question is addressing. Okay. It's like, should Vi do that? Should that even be something he should try to do? Should we all of a sudden just be like, hey, look, because, I mean, someone's called this Canada Cup the redemption arc, you know what I mean? Is there redemption from things you've done in the past, et cetera, et cetera? So that's where I think this question is coming from.
That makes sense. I can only think of a few examples where I thought that something that a TO did was so egregious that they should just go away forever. Thinking of maybe like John Nelson, who ran tournaments promising, I want to say $10,000?
Something like that.
Right?
Active gamers, yeah.
And it just was nonsense, and nothing, none of that ever came. That was so much money, that's you just never come back. And he didn't, which is good. There are a couple of instances of TOs who did things like harass women and otherwise cheat their local scenes.
Right.
But those two were quite a while ago.
I'm not even sure if I remember which one you're referring to. You don't have to name it. So
that's probably for the best. But yeah, that happened a couple times. It happened in Smash once as well. Like that stuff has occurred. And when that has happened, people basically move on and do not help out. Beyond that, if there's like mismanagement in some way, or if there is, that's not, dickishly mismanaged, but if you just, something happens, whatever, the convention that you made a partnership with just didn't give you enough space, etc., like just happened last year for Canada Cup. I don't think that that's like a disqualifying problem, in terms of the future stuff, as long as in the future there is good faith effort to improve, right? So it seemed to me this year that is what happened with Canada Cup.
Right.
That it seemed like there was this like good faith effort to run a better event. And I talked with Troy, like I said, he's one of the organizers there, midday Saturday, and he was like, I'm a fireman without any fires to put out, which is great. So I mean, it seemed like they did a better job. That's what I want to see. When I don't see that is when, or again, if there's these outside bigger problems, right? Obviously, screw that. But if there is an effort to get better, and they do in fact get better, that's great. That's what I want to see. There have been plenty of tournament series that have had problems that like just were, to some degree they're making, but that maybe were also circumstantial. Final round having a problem in 2016, right? Which just had 1,000 entrants, and they didn't expect anything like that.
Right.
There were problems that came from that. In the last, I feel like last year it was good. So there definitely was an effort to improve, and they carried through on that. Great, they did it. That kind of stuff is what I want to see. If I don't see that, then I don't want to support them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess, it's interesting because on one hand, I really don't think a lot of people know how hard it is to run an event like this, right? People have run small things and they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize how difficult this is going to be. And so I think a lot of people who haven't tried it haven't experienced it and understand the degree to how difficult it is to run and how many problems can occur. Yeah. Having said that, why don't you try it is usually not exactly the best argument. Right?
Yeah, I know the tweet you're talking about, and it was not a good idea. Yeah.
It's not a good argument at that point. So it's just more like, don't say why don't you try it. Just mean, well, look, we understand it's a problem, but it is more difficult than you expect.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the one who's putting yourself out there as the TO, then I don't think that you get to be defensive about what it means to be a TO. Right? Like that's your choice to do it. Anyway.
Yeah, so...
I don't think that was like a big problem tweet, but...
Yeah, it was just,
not.
Right.
But don't do that again.
I don't know. So at this point in time, obviously Lap Chi flew me out there, right? So I did a lot of promotion for the event as well. And I felt like it went well. I mean, like I said, I had fun. I tried my best to make sure that the mainstream... Because honestly, there was no commentary schedule at all whatsoever on the mainstream. It was literally just whoever was that's why I was there for 8 hours for one block at one time. So obviously from there, I would like to see an improvement in that kind of situation and everything. But, at the same time, I still tried my best to make it a good stream. I tried to make it a good event and everything like that. I had fun there. I thought it was, it seemed like everybody had a good time. I think, I get, Vi was obviously hired to help run the event and everything like that. I don't know if there was any reason for Vi to jump in for any of that stuff. But, again, I don't think it's wrong for him to do it, I guess. I don't know. Like, this is a weird question. I'm not really sure. It's kind of why I made you go first, because I'm not sure where I stand on this, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a limit where you don't support somebody anymore. I don't know that any of the current TOs are at that limit.
Right.
Again, I mean, I'm thinking of people who have promised a lot of money and then never delivered, or people who were, serially harassing and that sort of stuff.
I mean, the problem with Lap Chi is obviously he does a lot of business stuff. There's the esports ecosystem, which as soon as you get into Bitcoin, everybody's already just like, what the hell, right?
Yeah.
'Cause,
I mean, that seemed like some nonsense.
Right.
I don't know that means that you don't support the tournament that he helps run. I mean, we talk about Lap too much, I think, when it comes to Canada Cup. He is certainly the figurehead of it, but I'm telling you, that dude Troy was doing a lot of work. And in previous years, it's been other people too, and it's not that there's the bigger team as well.
Right.
I don't want those people's efforts to go, to go away. I don't want the Calgary scene or Toronto or wherever it's held to not have a tournament. And I don't think that if it's not related to the tournament itself, then I guess I don't think that it's like something to not go to the tournament. Well, again, if you're like harassing a bunch of women, maybe I don't want to support
Right,
it.
yeah, of course.
In general, the stuff that people normally do or don't do, I don't think anybody who's running a tournament right now is somebody who I wouldn't support for necessarily. I wouldn't support all the things they do. I wouldn't have done the Bitcoin situation for sure.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, supporting Canada Cup I think is fine.
Yeah, I mean, Lapchi at one point did ask me to join like the esports ecosystem thing, and I was like kind of torn on it just because I don't know anything about Bitcoin. So
yeah, I mean, Lap is a guy who you can definitely talk with and express your concerns to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the other thing
and
too.
he will
right?
definitely talk with you about it.
Yeah.
You know, he's not somebody who is constantly stuck in his sort of own bubble and doesn't want to hear people saying that something went poorly or that they disagree. He will definitely talk with you about all that stuff and
yeah, I mean, when I talked to him about I didn't think the Instagram models was a good idea, he was like, "Oh, okay," and like he's probably going to take it into consideration next time. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, we thought that the Instagram models being there was weird. Yeah, and like you said, you told him that.
Yeah, and honestly, they looked like they were just nobody was talking to them. Nobody was. Like, it wasn't a convention.
I feel bad for them.
You know what I mean? I actually legit felt bad for them because I just, like, nobody was paying attention to them.
It's just the wrong situation.
Yeah, and it's kind of bad, you know? It's just, when you're at a convention, you're there because you're going to booths and you're trying to meet people and all that stuff like that. When you're at a tournament, you're there to play games and get better and stuff like that. You know, it's a very different environment, so, yeah. So there you go.
I don't think that I would. Well, I'm not, I guess, and I didn't not go to Evo because they allowed Infiltration to come back. I disagree with them on that a lot, and I've talked with them about that as well. But I don't think that means that I wouldn't go to the event still. I guess that's not. I can sort of express what I think they should do, and as long as they're willing to consider that stuff, then I think that makes me feel better at least. But yeah, I wish that they hadn't done that, of course. Of course. Nobody thinks that Infiltration is the only abuser at Evo, obviously. Nobody does, literally, right? Sure. Nobody thinks the entirely of the 10,000 people who go are all great.
Right.
You don't know which ones are the jerks, okay? But when you do and you find out, that's when you should take action.
Right. If we know for sure.
Of course. Right. Again, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a weird. I guess the back to the original question. It's a weird question. I don't know if there's really any right answer on what extent anybody should try to help it. But again, if we just want to talk about how does a TO rehabilitate themselves, if they just take the effort to improve,
run a better tournament.
If they listen and they do something better, I mean, there's a reason why Lapchi brought it back to Calgary, right? Because I think this is the same reason why Shimblanca, Larry, brought it back to the hotel again from the convention center for final round. You know, he's trying to bring back a little bit of the old school feel to it. Final round this year felt better than it did last year, right? If they take the effort, if they listen, I mean, everyone's going to have a bad year. I mean, look, the 1 year at CEO, which the air conditioner wasn't working in the Wyndham Hotel, and it was hotter outside than it was inside, and you just couldn't escape the heat. Like, that year was suffering.
Wait, where was that?
That was at the Wyndham Hotel.
That was at CEO?
Yeah, CEO, the 1 year that it was super crowded.
I actually don't remember that.
You don't remember it? Oh, dang, that year was... Like, I remember it was nighttime. It's pitch black outside, and I'm in the hotel, in the ballroom, and it is just, everyone is just humid and dripping with sweat. And I was like, I'm going to go outside to cool off. And I walk outside, and it was worse. Like, it was, oh, God. But, like, after that year, like, if you just didn't give anyone a chance, and it would be done, right?
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting situation.
Sometimes it does take a couple of years for a tournament to regain a good reputation.
Yeah.
I think the final round's an example of that, but I think that they have done a good job. So. Alrighty. All good?
Yeah.
Cool.
And actually, Minato, that's not actually true. There was other things that came out, actually, that pointed the opposite direction. But
Yeah.
It's out there. You can look it up.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
out
good
there.
way to put it.
You can look it up.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay.
All right. Well, let's talk about a few other things.
Sure.
So, in Smash Bros. Ultimate, Terry is announced, right? We've talked about that.
Yeah.
There will be a stream tomorrow. Well, what do they call them? A
Nintendo Direct.
correct. Where they will talk more about Terry and show off what he does.
I just hope that is just a giddy Sakurai, like the whole stream going, check this out, look what you can do with it. Because it's literally, I think it's just going to be like 45 minutes of him showing off
That's
the
what I've
character,
read,
right?
yeah.
Because they even said, do not expect a character announcement. They said there will be no new character announcement. It's just to check out Terry. Yeah, I don't think it is.
It's not
Nintendo
considered a
Direct.
direct?
Yeah, it's
oh,
not a
okay.
direct.
I didn't realize that there
don't
was
think it's
a
direct.
difference in nomenclature. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
In any case, they'll be showing off Terry. Check it out. Soul Calibur.
5 a.m. Pacific time, by the way. That's so. In order for us to watch the Terry stuff, that's going to be hard.
We probably won't be doing that.
Yeah.
But I will definitely catch
Maybe.
the
I don't know.
archive.
I can do it before I go to sleep.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, if I wake up when my wife wakes up, then I'll have already had coffee and breakfast by that point.
Yeah,
so-
I know, right? Oh, man.
Oof.
Okay.
I woke up at 6 this morning.
6 in the morning.
Yeah. I went to sleep at like 9:30.
Okay. Yesterday, I came home and passed out. Then I woke up, ate dinner, and then I passed out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was
I was
basically-
just super tired because we had this bad flights back.
I literally didn't
Canada
sleep
Cup.
the night before. I literally
that's
didn't
right,
sleep. Yeah, I didn't fall asleep because I was lying in bed at around like 2 o'clock trying to get 2 hours of sleep before 4 o'clock. And by the time it hit 3 and I hadn't fallen asleep, I was just like, 1 hour of sleep will be worse than no hours of sleep at this point. So I just got up and packed at
I
that
hear you,
point.
dude.
So,
All right. Hey, Hilde revealed in Soul Calibur number 6.
yeah. Looks cool. Don't like her voice.
I agree with that.
I didn't like the weird, hi, I'm Hilde. You know, it was like, it was too flighty kind of sounding.
I think it's kind of funky myself. I agree with that.
I
But
would have pictured
she does
Hilde to
look cool.
have a more like a deeper, like forceful voice.
I highly
That's
agree
all,
with you.
so.
Yeah, I highly
I don't
agree.
think who the voice actress is doing a bad job. She's doing what she was directed to do.
For sure.
Yeah, and then I just don't think it just.
It doesn't fit as well.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, Hilda's going to be coming in. That will be in season 2, which will come at some point. Probably not too far
So
off.
there's
at
only
this
2
point.
characters revealed now, which is Hilde and Haomaru.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks cool. I mean, she was a terror by all accounts when she was in SC4, I think it was.
She had the glitch.
Yeah.
she
So,
had the
I mean, don't
glitch.
expect her to be like that, obviously.
Right. She was. I still remember too, because back then there was like some people were like, you can't allow the glitch. You can't allow the glitch. Evo just let the glitch rock.
Yeah.
And there was bets made on if Hilde would win or not, and she did not.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Classic times.
Now, find a new rival.
Yeah, she looks cool. Oh, my bad.
A lot of people following right now.
Thanks for the
so
follows,
thank you.
y'all. Samurai Shodown on Switch?
Yes, it is coming out on Switch. They've revealed it to be on Switch in December for Japan.
December 12th.
No official release dates yet for US.
Correct.
But they also announced that it is coming with Samurai Shodown !2, which I think is the Neo Geo Pocket version or something like that. But like, if you actually see it, it's emulated on the game with the actual handheld system on the screen and the Neo Geo, because it's so small and the size of the game is so small that they just had enough room to just draw the actual console
Wow,
on the
okay.
screen. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but
No news yet on PC
yeah.
release or Stadia, which I know you're waiting for.
I forgot
Anyway,
that was a thing.
December 12th is when it's coming to Switch in Japan. At
I
least.
forgot it was a thing, but I
Yeah.
should know what it was a thing because it should have told me that it was a thing before I forgot that it was
James
a
had
thing.
already predicted that you would forget.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It should have told me ahead of
No,
time,
it-
dude. Yeah.
Well, then it would have. Then you wouldn't have forgotten.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
that would have been a self-fulfilling
Oh,
anti-prophecy.
okay, fair enough,
Don't you
fair
see?
enough, yeah.
There's a lot to be considered when it comes to the future. Granblue. I played it.
Oh, how
I just wanted to briefly talk about that. I played Granblue, whatever it's called, Fantasy versus Fighter, whatever.
Yes,
I don't know.
Granblue Fantasy Versus.
Sweet. I played it at Canada Cup.
Yeah, a lot too, right?
45 minutes, an hour, maybe.
oh, okay.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean enough to like see all the little systems and whatnot. I think it seems like it would be a good game.
Okay.
It seemed to have good mechanics. The characters all seem unique, which is cool. They're all different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
I did not come away from it feeling like I needed to play it again.
Okay.
It just didn't have... I don't know what that thing is. Sometimes it happens where I'm just like inspired by a game and I just really want to play it again. And when it came to Granblue, I just didn't get that feeling. At the same time, I think that it seemed good. Like, it's not that I think that it seemed bad. I just didn't feel like inspired about it.
Right. Well,
It's
here's my question.
hard to qualify. Yeah.
How many people on the chat would love to have us be able to get access to the beta and just like break it down on Tuesday's show one of these days?
I would love to be able to do that, yeah. Because I feel like if I had more time, that I would probably find the things that are interesting and cool about it. I really think that is in there, for sure. And if you're somebody who is interested in the game, I definitely think that exists.
Right.
I think that it's probably just about how much time I would have to play.
Some people said that it feels like CVS2 because it's a linear game and there's rolls.
CVS2, rolls, spot dodge, mostly about footsies. Even some of the button like ranges and like timings seem like it's kind of CVS2y. Limited juggle system, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of similarities I felt to how CVS2
Okay,
plays.
so you actually felt that then.
I did.
Okay,
I did,
okay.
I hadn't heard anybody describe it as CVS2 before that. I heard people describe it as like SF2 or Street Fighter generally. But yeah, I would say that it is.
I didn't get a
CVS2
chance.
to me.
I didn't get a chance to play it, but I did commentate it, and I did so with Jason from Xseed. So he was able to answer a lot of questions that I was talking to him about it. I was asking him how this worked, how this system works, and stuff like that. And so I'm really interested because I feel like what I do like about the game so far, from what I was watching, right? So it feels like it's going to occupy a very similar space as Samurai Shodown. Whereas the games are simpler fighting games, but you're not sacrificing the complexity of neutral. Right? And so what I feel, because one of the things that I'm worried about games like Fantasy Strike is you take away the crouching. Like every fighting game has that.
That game took so much stuff away. It's
Right, like every game has that, right?
Yeah.
And so if you learn to play fighting games through Fantasy Strike, I don't feel like you're actually learning what you're going to have to deal with in all the other fighting games.
It's a very unique game.
Right, exactly. It's its own thing.
Yes.
Whereas something like Samurai Shodown, you've got overhead, you got loads, you got to think about that, you got to think about the spacing, there's whiff punishing, there's all this concept to it. Granblue Fantasy is going to be very similar because Granblue Fantasy has a lot of turn concepts, right? If you block the overhead, it's their turn. Like, I'm sorry, if you block an overhead, it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's not punishable, but it's your turn. You know, there's going to be a lot of that concept, while the game is also simpler to play because there's not super complex combos. There are very, the easy special moves, etc., etc. All that stuff is going to make it so that you can learn fighting games. There's still the ability to encourage you to use the motions. And then on top of all that, you're still learning the actual fundamentals of a fighting game. So I feel like both of those games are going to occupy a really unique space in that they're good gateway drugs, I guess, for lack of a better word, gateway drugs for fighting game community. So that's kind of why I'm excited about that.
I do like the idea of the cooldowns. Yeah, and I liked it when it was in
Rising Thunder.
Robot Fighter. Yeah, Rising Thunder.
Robot Fighter. Robot
One Most Fall
Fighter
2097.
EX Alpha.
Yeah. I like that. So I liked it in this game again. I mean, I didn't get used to the timing of it yet. I mean, but I played it for 45 minutes. I think that's cool. You know, I mean, it's cool to, like, Percival, who's what I played, has a very important command dash, and out of that he can do a low that combos, he could do an overhead that gives him plus frames, or he could just do like a big fast move.
Right.
And you can't just do that all the time.
Right.
Like, I'd probably, if I didn't have the cooldown, I'd probably just do like the plus frames thing into like do it again.
Right.
And just do it again. I'm trying to take all these turns. But you can't. And that's cool. You know, having to manage time like that is cool. Again, I don't think that I have much negative to say about it. I just, at the same time, it didn't... Man, when I played, like, Soul Calibur 6 the first time, I was like, this game is so cool. When I played BB Tag, I was like, I can't believe how much I like this game. Like that happens to me sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And this wasn't that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
We'll see, though, if I get more time.
Yeah, I think, honestly, it's just like you like to lab setups and stuff like that. When you see that potential in games, you get excited.
I don't know that I thought that about 6. About
Really?
Soul Calibur 6,
oh, really?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't why I liked it. It was... that it was so different and new to me, I guess. I hadn't played a 3D fighter like that in a long time.
Okay, gotcha.
And so Soul Calibur was just like a really different take. And it was the same way with BB Tag. I missed Marvel. I wasn't playing a Marvel game.
Interesting.
And BB Tag was like the Marvel game that is out. And so I was like, I didn't expect it to be, but it turned out to be like that.
Okay.
And so I really liked it.
Okay.
So I think it's the uniqueness that really like drags me in.
Okay.
But again, I feel like the game seems good.
Yeah.
I don't have much
criticism.
criticism.
It's still very Arc-Sissy too, because first of all, it had that thing where he can like charge up certain specials or something.
Yeah, that was cool.
So you still want to knock someone down and to charge up and things like that. So
that was definitely cool.
Kind of interesting. So, okay. All right.
Alrighty. Now let's talk about some community news. We got a little bit of stuff, not too much. EVO dates.
EVO Japan dates, which of course...
EVO regular dates.
Oh, EVO regular dates. Yeah.
July 31st to August the 2. At Mandalay Bay, who would have thought?
I'm so happy. Oh, gosh.
Yes.
I was terrified.
I know you are. I know.
I was terrified because Portland Retro Gaming Expo was moving to August.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like the weekend of August, like 14th or whatever around then. And I was like, oh, God, if EVO was the same weekend as Portland Retro Gaming Expo, like I was like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I'd do. So
nope.
I'm so relieved that
not going to be a problem. It will be July 31st to August 2nd.
Right. So that's cool.
Cool.
It's cool.
There you go. Save the date. Mm-hmm. Also, Street Fighter V was added to the roster of EVO Japan.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all were expecting it to happen. It's just unfortunate they had to wait so long to announce it. So
there was a Dragon Ball FighterZ documentary by Phil Nolan. What are we talking about here?
Oh, there was a cool documentary that I heard was actually pretty interesting, following like the Dragon Ball Fighters and a little bit of Sonic Fox and Goichi and talking about their rivalry and stuff like that. I haven't seen it yet. I just saw it reported, and whenever someone takes the opportunity to create that kind of content for the fighting game community, I like to promote it. Just like the Esteban, actually, I forgot to put this in the notes. The Esteban just had a documentary about the Fighting Tuesdays in Japan as well, so you definitely want to check that out. So anything to promote the fighting game community. So there you go. So you can just look that up on YouTube. What's the title of the documentary?
Oh, The FighterZ Saga.
So Z, right? FighterZ Saga.
Saga.
So take a look at FighterZ Saga. I believe it's just on YouTube, right?
It's on YouTube.
Yep. So just look up the FighterZ Saga, and they can talk about it. I think it culminates to the 2018 Dragon Ball Finals, where Sonic Fox defeated Goichi. But it'd be really cool just to check that out. So, Gachikun in South Africa. I forgot to put that in the notes.
Oh, I put it in the notes.
Oh, you did? Okay, sweet. Okay.
Oh, I guess we'll talk about it now.
Okay.
Gachikun went to South Africa.
Red Bull, always doing really interesting things. And they got him to play Street Fighter with a bunch of the kids there, and they had never seen joysticks before, and they were like super excited about that. Yeah, it was just really cool.
Yeah. Maybe hadn't like seen one in person.
Well, a personal one that you carry around with them, right? So especially.
I think that's cool. That's very cool. There's a scene in South Africa, by the way. There was a tournament there earlier this year for Tekken. So it's not like they are completely neophytes when it comes to fighting games. There's definitely an established scene. But I think it's really cool that Gachikun went there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool in all sides. Because I feel like, this is a cool experience for all the community that's in South Africa, to be able to see this guy. And I this is just one of those trips that as a player, as Gachikun, you're going to see it. And it's just going to change your perspective on so many things, you know what I mean? I feel like Gachikun's going to come away as a kind of a different person, as a grown person from that kind of thing. And that to me is exciting as well. Because, you whenever you're an athlete like this or a gamer like this, and you kind of live in this bubble, you kind of forget everything that's happening, and it's just a good way to see all the stuff that's happening out there. So I think that's really cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is now the best-selling fighting game of all time, over Street Fighter 2. That's cool.
I mean, one,
Congrats to Smash. Duh.
is that a shock?
No.
Right? And two, that it's taken this long to surpass
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2 is just an indication. I keep telling people that they don't realize how big Street Fighter 2 was back in that during that time.
That's right.
And this was a time when this was even before Mortal Kombat, right? So people still hated video games back then. Video games were still for kids.
Yep.
Video games were not part of the mainstream at all whatsoever. And yet, still, it's taken that long for a game to surpass Street Fighter 2.
I think that's like an indictment of fighting games, if anything. You know what I mean? Like, really, in 25 years, we haven't come up with something that would surpass Street Fighter 2 in sales. That is not great. Not great. So, congrats to Smash. It's obviously very well deserved. And
yeah, it's like I said, I always told the story.
Super cool.
My parents had a video store. I would always go into there and ask them about games. Like, hey, is this game here? Because like they would buy it at wholesale prices at those places, right? And then every time they would be like, what game are you talking about? Let me look it up. And then when Street Fighter 2 came out, I was like, do you guys have Street Fighter 2? And they're like, oh, it's sold out. Like, they didn't even add. Like, everybody, they were inundated with requests for that game. I mean, there was just a tweet that showed the old G.I. Joe commercials for Street Fighter. And it's just like, just look at that. And you're just like, Street Fighter was just something else back then.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Well, that's all I got with respect to the fighting game scene itself. Did you read or see that Forbes did a list of the most valuable esports teams?
I did not. Oh, I saw that they did, and I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I just didn't care.
Well, they did. Oh boy, this is a very obnoxious ad as I try to get through this. Oh, come on, man. All right. It's full of very interesting statistics. Talk about damning with faint praise. For example, all told, this is a quote, all told, global revenue for esports will reach $1.1 billion, up 27% from 2018, with North America accounting for 40% of that pie. That was a sentence I quoted verbatim. Jeez. Forbes now counts 13 companies with a value of more than $100 million, with the average valuation among them hitting $217 million, up 52% from last year. In 1 year, their valuation is up 52%. I don't know why anybody takes... Anyway, this is funny. So, they talk about how Mark Cuban recently blew up esports. Saying,
oh, they actually talk about it in there, huh? Okay.
They quote him saying, it's an awful business. And they give his reasons. Then they say in the very next paragraph, to start with, the believers are hearing none of his skepticism. NV Gaming raised $20 million. Gen G raised $46 million. They mention people like Will Smith and whoever else is getting involved. Oh, I think my computer froze. Might be about to die. Oh, no, here we go. Anyway, the rankings, you got Overactive Media, which is $120 million. You know, Overactive Media, you know, you love them.
I literally don't even know who they are.
They have like Splice and the Overwatch Toronto Defiant, whatever. It's like the company that controls them. Misfits Gaming, $120 million. Energy, $150 million. 100 Thieves, $160 million. G2 Esports, $165 million. Envy, $170 million. Fnatic, $175. Gen G, $185. Immortals, $210. FaZe, $240. Team Liquid, $320 million. TSM tied with $400 million with Cloud9, also $400 million. Cloud9 and TSM. In 2018, Cloud9 was worth $90 million. That's right.
It's just
they went up to $400 million in a year.
It's just
so.
honestly, like, I just sit there and listen to all this stuff, and it's just like, there's still only like 1% of the people seeing any of this money.
There's nobody who's seeing. Well, that's not true. Here's who's getting money out of esports: the people who, not the people who are investing. They're bleeding.
Right.
The team, some of the team owners who have been invested into are making the dollars. Some of the people who are getting paid by esports, by the investors,
Right.
whether you're the owner, whether you have like a particularly high level position, like 3 lawyers. I don't know. I actually don't know who else. Some players, actually, some players. There are a couple players who are making seven figures. There are several players, well, more than that. There's a good handful of players who are making 6 figures now. Probably some dozens for sure.
Someone asked who was the author of this article, and it is a Christina Settini.
Cool.
Okay, I don't know if that means anything to anybody who's been asking.
It is, yeah. League players are making 6. Many Overwatch players are. Some of them are making 7 figures, like I said. So I mean, that stuff exists, but in the entirety of the esports ecosystem, I mean, it's fewer than 100 people who are making big money.
Right.
For sure.
And that's the thing.
And it is a $1.1 billion industry.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, this is why I hate these kind of articles. I've talked about this forever, that I just feel like we're inflating everything about esports, and it's just going to get us in trouble, because you're just going to get more investors going, it's $1 billion industry, let me invest, and then where did all my money go? This stuff is crap, and then the whole thing is just going to collapse onto itself, because you're not going to find any of these investors anymore, because you're not giving anything back to them.
Imagine if you're Cloud9 and you're like, our value went up 4.5 times in 1 year. You better invest right now, because you don't want to miss this gravy train, man. We're up 4.5 times. And there's definitely going to be a lot of low knowledge investors who think that sounds awesome.
Right.
And they're going to get fleeced. It definitely sucks. I mean, I don't know what else to say, really, because we've talked about how this is, like, obviously a bubble a lot. And what's interesting, too, is that so I heard this from one of my buddies who is also an esports lawyer. And when he brought it up, he represents a bunch of these teams. He's, like, on the team side of things and is one of the lawyers who's doing really well. Even in his thread about it, he was like, I don't know where they got these numbers, really. Like, even he's, like, not really behind this. So I don't know, man. It's definitely weird. I recently had a conversation with one of my buddies from college who turned his chemical engineering degree into being a high-priced fancy banker in Europe. So he's like I don't know how that happened. Anyway, so he's a high fancy investment banker type of dude. And the last time we hung out, we were talking about esports, because he knows that I do tournaments and stuff. We talked about that. And he was like, man, you're so lucky to be in there in the ground floor of esports. It's blowing up. It's going to be absolutely tremendous. I bet you're seeing big money, this kind of thing.
He was saying that to you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm on the ground floor, right? And I was like, please tell me that you're not going to invest other people's money in esports. Like, you have to promise me not to waste other people's money in esports. And he was like, but, he mentioned some numbers, right? Oh, it's so big. It's $1 billion industry, whatever. And I was like, just please tell me that you're not going to... I'm not trying to ruin you. Like, if I thought that it was big, you're my friend for a long time, I would definitely clue you in if I'm like, hey, man, get into esports, right?
Right.
Absolutely not. Like, just save your money. Please don't go bankrupt due to video games. And he was talking about how it is bigger than it's had some events that have been more watched than the Super Bowl or whatever. Oh, God. And, these are the numbers that go around. And if you're not somebody who is closely involved and haven't done, like, close-up research, then you don't know that those are not good. Those are not good numbers. You just wouldn't know that unless you have really looked into it. So I hope that
bigger numbers in the Super Bowl when 99% of them are from China.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just keeping all the esports money to myself. Yeah, that's right. No, I mean, I don't want my friend to lose a bunch of money. I don't want his clients to lose a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. In addition, I don't want to have too much money in esports because that's going to be an even bigger bubble, and the worse it blows up, the worse it's going to be for all of us. Mm-hmm. Like, there will be more negative repercussions if there's a huge bubble and it explodes badly than if it just grows slowly and incredibly. Right. That's...
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about those numbers. Yeah, I remember I mentioned last week that, you know, the League of Legends LCS had 200 billion people watching.
Billion, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
200 million people watching it, and 190. No, it was like 202 million, I think is what they said, and 200 million were all from China, which is known for fluffing up numbers and stuff like that. So it's just like, oh yeah, I'm this investor. They had more viewers than that. Let me invest all this money in here, right? Oh, by the way, 99% of the people can't even buy any of your products. You know, that your advertising is going to mean nothing to them because they're in this country that's completely cut off from everything else. You know, it's like, oh, okay, so let's just keep telling people that, you know, this had more viewers than the Super Bowl. Let's just keep telling people that because, you know, this is a great idea.
It's not at all that I want to stay, the FGC to stay poverty. That is not at all what I want. Mm-hmm. I want it to grow, but... like I said, I think that it's worse to have it be valued too highly and for there to be a huge negative blow up than for there to be a real growth that is actually representative of the value of things. Because I think that it's going to be big in the future. I definitely think video games are going to be huge. Esports will be gigantic, of course. That's not now. It's not yet. And I don't want to have this implosion of the bubble because that's going to hurt all of us more than if we had just continued growing reasonably. It would be worse.
100% agreed. 100% agreed.
You know, in the meantime, some people will have made money. That's how these things go.
Yeah, so. And they're the ones who are inflating the numbers because they can keep making the numbers and then bail and then just go buy their island, you know, and then just be like,
yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, Shin Maruku, I don't think that logarithmic growth is, although it may be how nature works in some ways, which is true. Unfortunately, that's not organic.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Don't worry. But I mean, the one example that I always like to give is: do you remember when the X Games, when BMX biking and skateboarding and all that stuff became super huge, and all of a sudden that was like the next thing? Like, here we go.
I do.
That X Games was esports before esports.
Yeah.
And what happened now? Like, it's just a thing that exists.
It exists, yeah.
It exists, but it's not like this crazy $1 billion thing. I mean,
I wouldn't think so.
Tony Hawk's Twitter is just like the most hilarious thing.
One of the best.
Just based off of that, you can see how it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of the founding fathers. He's just like one of the greatest, and nobody knows who.
I mean, he's doing well.
Yeah, obviously, but anyway,
still. There was already an esports implosion. It happened in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
We have been through that before. Well, the FGC really wasn't part of it at all, but other games... That's not true. DOA...
MLG tried to do stuff. WCG tried to do stuff.
WCG is a good example of this. Like, there was a period where even for fighting games like DOA, there were teams that were paying players salaries. This is before streaming. I don't know why anybody thought that they could make it work, but they did.
Well, dang. Shin Maruku was part of the DOA...
There it is. I'm sorry that happened. I mean, that sucks.
Ugh.
That sucks.
Yeah, and that's just the whole situation. Is nothing is ever going to be that crazy big. Like, that's just how I feel. It's like, it's not even just esports that I'm condemning or anything like that. I just don't think anything is that crazy. Like, oh, here's where the money... Because every time I mean, look what the startup industry, the computer startup industry was that a few years ago, where a company would get created and it was a startup, and people were like, oh, it's a startup, and its stock, it would go public, and its stock would just jump all the way up, and then all of a sudden it died. You know, so many people lost money on those things.
That happened not long ago. It has happened.
And it's there is no magic solution. There's just not. It's not there. Anyways, okay. Yeah. Anyways, anything else that you want to talk about? We didn't talk about Fuudo's wedding yet.
There was... Oh, yeah, BlizzCon happened. Some people protested. You know.
They announced a bunch of stuff, and now a lot of people seem to have forgiven them and stuff.
That's right.
Like that.
And their president talked beforehand, and he was like, let's all be good to each other, or whatever. without mentioning anybody by name. And then just a few days after that, I heard that they were not going to change anything about the Blitzchung situation at all. So anyway, I think the non-apology was like, I feel like less terrible than people have made it out to be. Like, but it was, I would classify it as a non-apology, which is not great. Not great.
Okay.
Anyway, there you go. They announced some stuff that I, in a former life, would have cared about tremendously. But I have basically divorced myself from World of Warcraft, so it had to be done.
And Overwatch. I mean, you played Overwatch at first when it came out.
I played a lot of Overwatch. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, yeah. But I haven't played it in probably 2 years. It's been a
Right.
long time.
And it's funny, too, because with their Overwatch 2 announcement that was leaked, I mean, like, what are they doing? They're like, it's mostly the same game. They're just adding a bunch of one-player content. You get to keep everything that you've done before, and, like, people are mad because it's not different enough, right? Or
I don't know if they're mad. I haven't paid close enough attention.
I don't know.
But that sounds dumb if they are.
yeah.
Anyway, there you go. There's some information. That's all I got. Yeah, Diablo has a bunch of new stuff. Diablo 4. StarCraft has... What did they added, like, some new... Oh, hello, Nathan. I don't know. Whatever. They're basically leaving StarCraft in the dust. All right. That's all I got.
Fuudo's getting married.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yay. I'm really happy for him. Obviously, everybody wants to talk about it because, you know, she was one of the DOA models during the core values thing at Evo Japan and all that stuff like that. But she apparently has, like, just a ridiculous amount of followers, which Fuudo actually put in his tweet, too. Which
I definitely wanted to talk about this. There's no way at all that Fuudo wrote that tweet.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
yeah.
And, in fact, so the tweet is basically like... Oh man, now I really should have brought it up because it's so bad. Let me know if anybody has the link to the tweet. But it was basically like, I would like to announce the marriage of Cygames Beast Fuudo, parentheses me,
Right.
to whatever her name is, who has 400,000 Twitter followers. It's so obviously not written by him, and I feel bad for him. If I were him and I saw that this appeared on my Twitter timeline, that my social media manager put it on there, I would be pissed. If you like boiled my marriage down to like Cygames Beast Fuudo got married, like please, I would be so pissed.
Well, High Fight says that they do want to promote themselves.
I'm sure they want to promote themselves, but that tweet, did you see how it was written? There's no chance that Fuudo himself wrote it.
Right.
No way.
But maybe he wasn't mad. Maybe he approved of it.
I'm happy to announce the marriage of Cygames Beast Razor's Fuudo, parentheses, me, and Graveur, I don't know how to pronounce that word, idol Yuka Kuramochi, who boasts 420,000 Twitter followers, capitalizing followers, and 280,000 Instagram followers. I'm grateful to have found a love even greater than gaming. Okay, that last line is nice.
Yeah.
The first part of it is impossible that it was written by him. I feel like that's... I don't know Fuudo very well. I see him at events now and then. We say hi to each other, right? I've never had like a substantive conversation with the guy. But I feel like I would have heard if he was shallow enough to have written this tweet. Like, I think that would have like filtered down. Because sometimes you hear about players being jerks or whatever. I've never heard anything bad about Fuudo, so...
I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's probably it is more of a promotional kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure
it's clearly promotional.
It's a very business decision kind of thing.
Obviously.
You know what I mean? So,
this tweet is obviously a business decision.
Yeah. I had no idea they were dating. I mean, they were in that one...
Anyway, I feel bad for both of them about this tweet.
They were in that one picture a long time ago, you know, that everybody keeps bringing up, like from 10 years ago. I think that's literally when they met or something like that.
No, you're talking about the one where Fuudo like looks like the ashamed little boy in front of the two hot girls. No, apparently they had met long before that.
Oh, okay.
In the arcade.
So she was probably there because Fuudo was there.
I don't
probably.
know. Yeah,
so,
that seems like that, I guess, in retrospect.
Okay, so
that's cool. I mean, they're only surprise marriages to us because we don't know them as people very well.
Right. Exactly.
Nobody knew that I got married.
Yeah,
right?
No, some people in the chat today were like,
yeah. Unless you're like one of my good buddies, I didn't tell anybody. Like, what? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, when I heard about it, I was like, oh, okay. And then as I saw people talking about it, apparently there's been evidence that they've been together for a long time.
Makes sense.
I don't know why it's crazy, you know, surprising. So, yeah.
Anyway, congrats to both of them.
But apparently it's a big deal in Japan. So, because Amezia is saying they were trending #1 on Japanese Twitter. So
that's cool.
It's a big public
Congrats.
thing for them. So, yeah. There you go. Yeah, now you know why she dresses as Mika. Maybe that's why he plays Mika. Right? Maybe that's why, because she really liked Mika in the first place.
Maybe.
And, he was like, okay, I got you. I got you. No, Yuka's super famous. Like I said, you saw in the tweet how many followers that she has, right? That's why she was hired for all the stuff, like the DOA thing, right? So, yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, anyway, congrats. Bonchan had twins. Congrats.
Yes, if we had to predict who's the next top Japanese player to get married, who would it be?
What?
Someone had to put a poll out there, and I think the winning was that Tokido was going to get married to Mago or something like that.
Oh, boy.
Man. Did Daiko do a Mahjong tourney? Dude, that'd been... Oh, I would have... I've already been talking to some other people in the FGC that I want to teach them all how to play Mahjong, dude. That'd be awesome.
I mean, definitely some of the top Japanese players are gay. It's not like a big secret. That's all good. Anything else to say about this?
No, that's it. I'm happy for Fuudo.
Yeah.
I mean, not like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm happy for Fuudo.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like, I'm legit happy for him. Just like I'm happy for everybody else who gets married.
I highly agree.
Okay.
Cool. I got my next version of the split box.
I saw, yeah.
Split box 4. It is so clear and transparent that it's actually hard to see in person.
Like, does it actually look like the buttons are just floating in space right now?
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
It's
though.
awesome. I think it's so cool. Mm-hmm. But the next one that I make, which hopefully will be actually the last iteration of this, will definitely be frosted, just for purposes of.
But how's
ease
the locking mechanism for the top and everything?
So I'm just in the process of gluing it now.
Oh, okay.
When I put it all together and just kind of sat it together, it all felt like it fit together really, really well. But the gluing process takes a little while.
I wonder if he always tried to land that Mika super, because that's like his message to her, like, Because, I mean, there's, like, basketball players that would touch their face when they do, like, free throws to wave hi to their significant others or their wife and stuff like that. I wonder if that's, like, one of those things, Oh, well.
Maybe I should do that with my wife.
Hey, you should. Try.
A little fart into the mic and she'd be like...
That's exactly what you would do, too. And that's exactly what she would expect. Exactly what she would expect.
She's never watched a fighting game stream in her life.
Has she really never watched it?
No, I mean, when I've watched, but other than that,
okay.
Probably not.
She's never tuned in to check out your work or anything?
No,
like that?
she has a couple of times.
Okay. That's so funny.
Anyway, I'm
cool.
currently in the process of building.
Let's check that out. Shoegazer Jimmy says he showed your split box design to the guy who does all the crazy joystick designs, and he thought it was awesome.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
So the gluing process will basically take until probably tomorrow night, just because things need about a day to dry properly.
Of course, the set and everything like that.
Yeah,
So.
tonight when I go back, I got to finish.
Because you're hoping the locking mechanism is going to be very tight, right? So that it can hold.
Yeah, tight, and there's like a specific way you have to take the top off.
Right,
kind of
right.
like
Is it kind of like rotate and then lift?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So hopefully that'll all work out. But there's already some problems with it. I had little pilot holes that I made in it. They were not big enough, so I had to still drill.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come up with the idea of wearing the stick over my neck until after I put this design out there. So, there's going to be at least one more iteration of it that will have that.
But you might as well keep playing this one as long as you can to
Totally.
figure out all the other things that you want to fix and stuff like that. So there you go. Cool.
Okay.
All
Anything
right.
else?
No, that's all I've got.
All right.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
We finally get a week at home. Woo!
This is my first weekend at home in 3 weeks. Same
Correct.
for you, right?
Same.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, hang on 1 second. David has pictures himself. Just check it up on his Twitter.
I have put them all on at UltraDavid on Twitter.
That is correct.
I mean, I was playing with the split box at Canada Cup, and Mr. Crimson had never seen it before, and he put a tweet out that was like, wow, check this out, this is wild. So check his pictures out there too. I retweeted that. It's very comfy.
How loud?
Oh man, I took a picture with 2 famous actors, and my fly was all the way down. Maximum down, not a little bit. Extremely down. And I had been walking around Canada Cup for at least 3 hours before that. And I didn't see the tweet replies with people saying that my fly was down until half an hour later.
Oh, you posted it all the way.
Oh, it's on the Twitters, buddy. You can see it still. I figured there's no reason to take it down now. It's already out to 40,000 people.
Well, that sounds like that this is the most appropriate song that... All right.
Yeah, that
Thanks,
happened.
guys, for
All right,
tuning
everybody.
in. Peace out.